Chapter 168. Who's your master? Why is she looking for me? Jiyu asked in confusion. He had only met this young lady once. Why would her master be looking for him? Wait a minute. Could it be that this young lady's master was looking for trouble with him? Why are you asking so many questions? I'm her master, the mansion master. Just follow me. Er's tone was not polite at all. After all, this young lady had just seen her naked yesterday. Mansion master? You mean mansion master Moro? Jiyu asked. Upon hearing Er's words, he immediately thought of the beautiful lady in the purple dress. Her mysterious amethyst eyes had left a deep impression on him. That's right. I didn't expect you to know my master's surname. Said in surprise. Jiyu thought for a moment. If it was mansion master Moro, she should not be looking for trouble with him. Hey, why are you hesitating? Hurry up and follow me. However, had already lost her patience. She directly grabbed Jiyu's hand and tried to pull Jiyu away. However, in the next moment, she realized what she was doing. She immediately shook off Jiyu's hand and said angrily, "You pervert! What the F***? I really have to hand it to you." Jiyu almost cursed it out loud. This woman was the one who grabbed his hand by force. How could she blame him for being a pervert? This was the first time he had seen such a person who made him speechless. Also realized that she was in the wrong. However, she did not want to put down her pride and apologize to Jiyu. Instead, she snorted and said, "What's the point of being so stingy?" Forget it. Jiyu could not be bothered to argue with this woman. He said, "Just take me there. Also, don't touch me again." "Fine, I won't touch you. Who wants to touch you? Besides, I haven't settled the score with you yet." Did not want to back down. She continued to talk back. However, Jiyu didn't care about this woman at all. The more he paid attention to her, the more insatiable she would be. After talking for a while, seemed to be unable to continue. Forget it. I'm a magnanimous person, so I won't argue with you. Come with me." Jiyu followed in silence. Perhaps it was due to Er's presence. They attracted a lot of attention along the way. Holy sh**t. Am I seeing things? That man is actually so close to and nothing happened to him at all. How strange. Didn't they say that hates men the most? Normally, no male students would dare to approach her. Could that young man be Er's partner? Otherwise, why would let a man get so close to her? TSK. If that's the case, the entire martial palace will be in an uproar. Many people regard as their dream lover. The surrounding martial house students were all happily discussing this matter. Couldn't bear it anymore and quickened her pace. Jiyu, on the other hand, had a nonchalant look on her face. It was as though she didn't hear the discussions around her at all. Master has taken a step forward. Experience gained from the high grade, profound rank, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. 1 by 999 times. Master has taken a step forward. Experience gained from the high grade, profound rank, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. 1 by 999 times. About 10 minutes later, Jiyu followed to a purple gold hall. After entering the purple gold hall, Jiyu saw the purple-haired, purple-eyed beauty, Zili. "Why aren't you kneeling when you see my master?" Scolded Jiyu. Don't be rude." Suddenly, Zili, who was sitting on the high platform, spoke up. "Yes," replied. Then, she made a face at Jiyu. Jiyu ignored and asked Zili, "Mansion Master Morong, why are you looking for me this time?" You can leave now." Although wanted to stay, she had no choice but to obey her master's order. After left the purple gold hall, Zili said to Jiyu, "I'm here to tell you something." "Mansion Master, please speak." Jiyu said, "Our Qinyuan martial house has a Qinyuan ranking. It records the top 10 disciples in the martial Dao. They are also the core disciples." Zili said calmly. Chapter 169. Course student? Although Ji Yu didn't have a deep understanding of the Qianyuan martial house, he still knew some information about the course students. In the Qianyuan martial house, only the 10 strongest students were course students. They were all inner house students, and it seemed that they had to go through the inner house competition to select the 10 course students. But what did these course students have to do with Ji Yu? He was still an outer house student, so it was impossible for him to participate in the inner house competition. It seems that you should understand what a core student represents. This way, this martial house master won't waste any more words. Murong Zili said, "In view of your outstanding performance in the previous entrance exam, this martial house master can make an exception and give you a chance to challenge a core student." Challenge a core student? Ji Yu was slightly stunned. That's right, Murong Zili said. You can choose any core student to challenge. If you succeed, you will take that core student's position. Then she added, of course, even if you fail or don't want to challenge, this martial house master won't do anything to you. I'm willing to accept this opportunity. Ji Yu agreed without hesitation. Was there even a need to think about it? To be able to directly challenge a core student, and once he wins, he can take over the core student's position. For him, this was simply a free benefit. In the entire Qianyuan martial house, there shouldn't be any Tongxian realm students. After all, even the girl from before was only at the 7th layer of the defensive profound realm. Okay, then you take this. Murong Zili took out a purple jade pendant. This jade pendant can represent this martial house master. You just need to take this jade pendant. As her voice fell, the purple jade pendant floated into Ji Yu's hand. I understand, then I'll take my leave first. After speaking, Ji Yu turned and left. Looking at Ji Yu's back, Murong Zili's strange purple eyes flickered. At this time, Ji Yu just walked out of the Violet Gold Hall. The girl from before came over and asked curiously, "What did my master say to you?" "It has nothing to do with you," Ji Yu said casually. She was too lazy to continue talking to him and walked past him. "What do you mean? How does it have nothing to do with me?" Qi Ling was displeased. However, Ji Yu did not react at all and ignored him once again. Seeing Ji Yu's attitude, Qi Ling was infuriated. However, the other party seemed to be related to her master, so she didn't dare to make a move recklessly. However, despite her anger, she still chose to follow behind Ji Yu. She wanted to see what this guy was going to do. Of course, Ji Yu knew that the other party was following him like a shadow, but he didn't care at all. He was now preparing to go to the place where the Heaven Yuan list was located to see which core student he would choose as his opponent. About 10 minutes later, Ji Yu found the Qian Yuan list, and Qi Ling followed her shamelessly. The Qian Yuan ranking was an enormous stone tablet, and 10 names were inscribed on it like dragons flying and phoenixes flying. Ji Yu's gaze subconsciously fell on the first name at the top of the list. Qi Ling. I wonder what kind of strength this Qi Ling has. Ji Yu thought to himself. Since Qi Ling had not introduced herself to Ji Yu, he had no idea that the girl behind him was Qi Ling. See, I'm the one who's ranked first. At this moment, Qi Ling walked up to them and pointed at the top of the list proudly. Although she had no idea why Qi Ling would come here, she couldn't help but show off. Upon hearing this, Ji Yu was dumbfounded. You're Qi Ling? What do you think? I'm amazing, right? Qi Ling said with a smile when she saw the shocked expression on Ji Yu's face. No, aren't the disciples of the Qian Yuan martial mansion a little too weak? Ji Yu couldn't help but ask. He didn't expect that this girl who was only at the 7th level of the defensive profound realm was Qi Ling, who was ranked first on the Qian Yuan list. She was at the 7th level of the defensive profound realm, so she was someone he could easily defeat. However, she was indeed ranked first on the Qian Yuan list. It could be said that the disciples of the Qian Yuan martial mansion were too weak. What did you say? Qi Ling said unhappily. Chapter 170. I'm just saying that you guys are too weak. Even you could be ranked first. Ji Yu said without any hesitation. You, not only do you look down on the martial palace, but you even dare to look down on me? Qi Ling said angrily. No, I'm just speaking the truth. Ji said with an indifferent expression. So, you think you're very powerful? Do you dare to have a match with me? Ling said provocatively. Why wouldn't I dare? Ji said indifferently. It just so happens that Mansion Master Morong gave me a chance to challenge a core disciple. I'll use this chance on you. Oh, it seems like you're quite confident. Then, I'll accept your challenge. Ling said with a smile. However, since we're going to have a match, there's no way we can skip the bet. Go ahead, Ji said indifferently. If I win, not only will you have to apologize to me, but you'll also have to become my slave and listen to my every command. Ling said, if you win, you could decide what you want. After all, it's impossible for you to win against me. Ji could only smile at Ling's confidence. I don't have any demands if I win. All I want is for you to hand over the core disciple position to me. Ji said casually. From the beginning to the end, he did not mind at all. After all, he could easily defeat Ling, even if he only used one hand. All right, it's settled then. Ling said. As for the date of the duel, it'll be tomorrow. There's still 1 day left, so you should repent for your mistakes. Ji smiled, but did not say a word. There was no need for him to stay here any longer, so he turned around and left. The corners of Ling's mouth curled up slightly. When the time came, she would look for this lecher to settle the score from yesterday. At this moment, Ji was on his way back to his dorm. Since he was about to become a core disciple, there was no need for him to attend those so-called classes anymore. Although core disciples were also inner disciples, the cultivation resources they could enjoy were on a completely different level. If the difference between an outer palace student and an inner palace student was 1 level, then the difference between a core student and an inner palace student was at least 10 levels. Most of the cultivation resources in the Qianyuan martial house were concentrated on the 10 core disciples. When the time came and he had the cultivation resources, why would he need to attend classes? Not long after, Ji returned to the dormitory and began to practice martial arts leisurely. Tomorrow's duel with Ling was not stressful for him at all. He could eat and sleep as he pleased. After an unknown amount of time, Ji was halfway through her cultivation when there was another series of knocks on the door. F***CK. Could it be that Ling again? However, Ji still walked over and opened the door. After all, it could be Jiang Yuechu or Jiang Yuexin. When she opened the door, Ji immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The person outside the door was Jiang Yuexin. Fortunately, it was Yu who came. Ji could not help but say, if that woman, Ling came again, he was afraid that he would really lose his temper. That woman was as annoying as she could be. Why do you say that? Jiang Yuexin felt a little puzzled and asked. Nothing. Ji shook her head and said. Jiang Yuexin did not pay much attention to it. Then she said, by the way, where did you go? My sister and I came to find you, but you were not here. I had something to do, so I went out. Ji explained. He did not tell Jiang Yuexin about Mansion Master Morong. Although he had broken the promise with Jiang Yuexin, he did not want Jiang Yuexin to worry about him. After all, he could easily win tomorrow's duel. Well, my sister and I wanted to ask you to go to class with us, but you were not here, so we had to go first. Jiang Yuexin said, and you did not go to class just now. Is that okay? It's okay. Ji said, by the way, what class did you guys have just now? Martial arts class. The lecturer was quite good. At this time, Jiang Yuexin muttered in a low voice, although I didn't really hear it. Martial arts class. Ji thought that there was indeed no need to listen to it. Did he need anyone to teach him martial arts? When there were more interesting or useful courses, he would consider whether or not to take a look. Chapter 171. On the same day, the news that Ji was going to duel with Ling spread throughout the entire Qianyuan martial mansion. Many disciples were wondering who Ling's opponent was. They had never heard of the name Ji before. Although Ji had become quite famous in the Kanglan Empire after the entrance exam and the alchemy conference, most of the disciples in the Qianyuan martial mansion rarely left the mansion. Therefore, the news had not reached their ears yet. In their view, It was impossible for Ji Yu to be a match for Qi Ling Er. After all, Qi Ling Er was not only the disciple of the Mansion Master, but she was also the first on the Qian Yuan list. Her strength was much stronger than the second on the list. In the entire Qian Yuan martial mansion, there was no one who could defeat Qi Ling Er, let alone a person whom they had never heard of. Of course, the news had also spread to Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin. At this time, Ji Yu was still cultivating leisurely. They immediately came to find him. Ji Yu, what did you do this time? Jiang Yuexin asked. I didn't cause any trouble. Ji Yu was confused at first, but he soon realized what Jiang Yuexin was referring to. Oh, you must be talking about the duel between me and Qi Ling Er. He did not expect Qi Ling Er to be so flamboyant. She spread the news so quickly that even Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin knew about it. He was speechless. Yes, I heard that Qi Ling Er is the strongest disciple in the Qian Yuan martial mansion. Why did you provoke her? Jiang Yuexin said. It's just a small matter. Don't worry so much. Ji Yu said casually, if I say that she is no match for me, would you believe me? I know you are strong, but don't be so complacent. No matter what, she is the first on the Qian Yuan list. Jiang Yuexin reminded him. After hearing what Ji Yu said, she wasn't so worried anymore. After all, she was quite confident in Ji Yu's strength. Yes, I'll be careful. Ji Yu nodded. Let's not talk about this for now. At this time, Jiang Yuexin's eyes sharpened. She stared straight at Ji Yu and said, what I'm most curious about is, how did you provoke Qi Ling Er? Ji Yu was speechless for a moment. How should he explain this? I didn't need to ask about this. Jiang Yuechu said seriously. Maybe Ji Yu was caught by Qi Ling Er while she was bathing. Hearing Jiang Yuechu's words, the corners of Ji Yu's mouth twitched and cold sweat appeared on her face. He was shocked. How could Jiang Yuechu guess that? He didn't tell anyone about it all. With Qi Ling Er's character, it was impossible for her to reveal it. Looking at Ji Yu's humble appearance, even Jiang Yuechu was stunned. Ji Yu, don't tell me you really want to peek at someone bathing. Jiang Yuechu asked in disbelief. It's completely different. I just bumped into her by accident. I didn't take the initiative to peek. Ji Yu explained. Besides, how could I know that someone would bathe in the maple forest? Normal people wouldn't bathe there, right? So, you looked at her body? Jiang Yuexin didn't care so much. She only cared about the result. If I have to say I did. Ji Yu said truthfully. You pervert. Jiang Yuexin gritted her teeth slightly. She seemed to be angry. I won't care about you anymore. Even if you were beaten into a fool by Qi Ling Er, I won't care about you anymore. After saying that, Jiang Yuexin left angrily. In fact, she wasn't really angry. It was just that when she heard Ji Yu admit that he had looked at Qi Ling Er's body, she felt very uncomfortable. Yuexin is just saying that. She still cares about you very much. At the same time, Jiang Yuechu looked at her younger sister's back and said to Ji Yu at the same time, I know. Ji Yu nodded. But you're really too much. Can't you just apologize properly after looking at someone's body? Why did you have to make such a big fuss? Jiang Yuechu rebuked Ji Yu. No, you don't know how bad that Qi Ling Er's personality is. Ji Yu couldn't help but say, although I didn't apologize, that woman wouldn't let it go even if I did. All right. Jiang Yuechu didn't argue with Ji Yu. She said casually, anyway, you just have to be careful tomorrow. After all, it had already happened. There was no point in saying anything else. Chapter 172. After Jiang Yuechu left, Ji Yu continued to practice martial arts. Ding. Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience points gained. 10 by 999 times. Ding. Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience points gained. 10 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation experience has reached the late stage of the 7th level of the defensive profound realm. It was late at night when Ji Yu finally reached the late stage of the 7th level of the defensive profound realm from the middle stage of the 7th level. It was just the right time to sleep. The next day, Jiyu arrived at the arena of the Qianyuan martial house at the appointed time with Qi Ling. It was a huge arena. Normally, the students of the martial house would not use it casually. It was only open to the public for special duels. Qi Ling was the disciple of the martial house master and the top of the Qianyuan list. No matter who she was going to fight with, it would be a big event that would shake the entire martial house. For example, today a large group of students of the martial house had gathered here, including many core students who had come to watch. When Jiyu arrived, he did not attract anyone's attention. After all, almost no one present could recognize him. Until Jiyu stepped into the arena with a calm face, he instantly attracted countless gazes. Who is this guy? Why is he in the arena? Is he Jiyu? It should be him. I thought he would be a powerful figure, but it turns out that he is just a gigolo. Is this gigolo here to be a joke? I think he can't even withstand one move from Qi Ling. He is so boring. There were at least hundreds of people around, and almost no one thought that Jiyu would win. Only Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin in the crowd firmly believed that Jiyu would not lose. Although Jiang Yuexin said that she didn't care about Jiyu yesterday, her body was very honest. Today, she came to see Jiyu early. At this time, Jiyu also noticed Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin and smiled at them. It was at this moment that Qi Ling seemed to have arrived as well, causing a huge commotion in the surroundings. Oh, I didn't expect you to come at the right time. Are you in such a hurry to become this lady's slave? When Qi Ling saw Jiyu on the other side of the stage, she smiled. Jiyu ignored Qi Ling again, not replying to her at all. However, in Qi Ling's eyes, it was as if Jiyu had admitted defeat. She immediately felt smug. Ling, you picked this brat as your opponent. Why don't you let me compete with you instead? However, a gloomy voice suddenly came from below the stage. A young man with a sinister face walked to the side of the stage. From his tone, it seemed that he didn't care about Jiyu at all. Wu Xie, who is ranked second on the Qianyuan list, is also here. As expected, he won't miss this battle. That's for sure. I've heard that Wu Xie is interested in Qi Ling for a long time. Every time Qi Ling duels with others, he has always been there. I have to say that Senior Wu Xie and Qi Ling are quite compatible. His martial arts strength isn't too far away from Qi Ling's. The crowd started to discuss among themselves. Scram to the side. This is none of your business. Qi Ling frowned slightly, and her beautiful eyes were filled with disgust. Moreover, I'm not familiar with you. Don't call me by that disgusting name. Ling, you're still so heartless. Wu Xie shook his head sadly, but he didn't seem to be angry. Qi Ling ignored Wu Xie and looked at Jiyu again. The rules of this battle are very simple. As long as one side steps out of the boundary, loses the ability to move, or takes the initiative to admit defeat, the other side will be considered the winner. Do you have any objections? Jiyu shook his head and didn't say anything. All right. Qi Ling smiled slightly. Then let the battle begin. There was no referee for this battle, because Qi Ling was so arrogant that she didn't think there was a need for one. She could easily defeat her opponent, so why would she need to hire a referee? Jiyu's expression remained calm. The moment Qi Ling shouted, "Let the battle begin," he dashed toward Qi Ling at a speed that couldn't be seen by the naked eye. Ding! Master has used the high-level profound rank skill, Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. Experience gained from the high-level profound rank skill, Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. 400 by 999 times. In the blink of an eye, Jiyu appeared in front of Qi Ling. However, Qi Ling didn't realize what had happened at all. She still had a confident smile on her face. Chapter 173. Your reaction speed is so slow. It doesn't match your confident appearance at all. At this moment, Qi Ling suddenly realized that Jiyu was already right in front of her. Her eyes narrowed in shock. She could not believe that the other party was so fast. Ding! Master has executed the low-level mystic skill, Mountain Quaking Fist. Middle-level mystic skill, all-suppressing fist. Obtained, experience points, 200 by 999 times. Ji did not execute the most powerful all-suppressing fist. Instead, he executed the low-level mystic skill, Mountain Quaking Fist, and he only used 30% of his strength. He lightly punched Qi Ling, Er's lower abdomen. Qi Ling, was unable to react in time, and she was hit squarely by Ji Yu's punch. With a cough, she immediately bowed down like a shrimp. An unbearable pain came from her lower abdomen, and Qi Ling, Er's face turned pale. F***CK. Aren't you a little too weak? Ji was dumbfounded by the sight before him. Furthermore, he had only used 30% of his strength. If he had not held back, wouldn't he have crippled Qi Ling, with a single punch? His original intention was not to beat Qi Ling up badly. Instead, he wanted to make Qi Ling realize the difference in their strength. That way, Qi Ling would admit defeat. After all, no matter how terrible Qi Ling's personality was, in Ji Yu's eyes, she was still an insensible little girl. Furthermore, Qi Ling was Clan Master Morong's disciple. If anything happened to her, it would be troublesome for him. At the same time, everyone below the ring was dumbfounded. Their jaws dropped to the ground, and they were at a loss for words. The entire crowd fell silent. The scene that happened on the stage just now was completely different from what they had expected. Initially, they thought that Qi Ling would be able to defeat Zhang Xian easily. They did not expect that Qi Ling would be the one to be defeated instead. Who in the world was this young man named Ji Yu? At this moment, Qi Ling heard Ji Yu's voice. She gritted her teeth and said, "Don't underestimate me. Do you know that I only used 30% of my strength in that punch?" Ji said calmly. Hearing those words, the light in Qi Ling's eyes dimmed. It was as if she had started to doubt her own existence. "I don't have time to play with you anymore. Let's end this." Following Ji Yu's indifferent voice, another mountain-shaking fist blasted out. However, this time, not only did he not increase his strength, he even reduced his strength by 10%. 20% of his strength wasn't enough to beat Qi Ling too badly. Looking at Ji Yu's terrifying fist, the last line of defense in Qi Ling's heart crumbled. She was afraid of pain, but what scared her the most was that she couldn't imagine how miserable her opponent's punch would make her. "No, don't!" She collapsed to the ground and cried out in despair. Seeing the tears in Qi Ling's eyes, Ji Yu's eyes widened in shock as she retracted her fist. Then, he flicked his finger lightly on Qi Ling's forehead. This time, he was completely powerless. Qi Ling's eyes were still tightly shut in fear when she suddenly felt a light flick on her forehead. She subconsciously held onto her forehead as she opened her eyes and looked at Ji Yu in confusion. "Ew, why? This?" Qi Ling muttered with a dazed look on her face. "You're already crying. How can I bear to do it?" Ji was speechless. Hurry up and admit defeat. Don't waste any more time. However, this didn't mean that he would go easy on anyone. Qi Ling was just a little bad-tempered. Besides, he was the one who had seen her body first. However, if it was a woman who had a blood feud with him, no matter how beautiful she was, he wouldn't go easy on her at all. It was only after hearing Ji Yu's words that Qi Ling realized that she was really crying. She quickly wiped her tears away. Then, she decisively admitted defeat. "Then, from today onward, I'll be taking over your position. Do as you see fit." After saying those words, Ji Yu turned around and prepared to leave. Wait a minute, but at this moment, Qi Ling called out to Ji Yu in a weak voice. "Is there anything else?" Ji Yu was confused. It was very unusual for Qi Ling to speak in such a tone. Can you carry me back?" Qi Ling blushed. She was too embarrassed to look Ji Yu in the eye. She was obviously a shy little girl. She covered her face with one hand and covered the bottom of her skirt with the other. Ji Yu was stunned for a while before he finally reacted. "Holy sh**t, don't tell me you're—" Halfway through his words, Qi Ling was suddenly pushed him to the ground and covered his mouth. "Don't say it out loud." Ling was so embarrassed that she scolded him softly. All right, I won't say it out loud. Can you get up first? Ji said awkwardly. Being pressed down by Ling, he felt a warm and wet sensation on his pants. Sure enough, just as he had expected, Ling had wetter pants. Please, I beg of you, carry me back. Ling's face was so red that it was about to drip water. If others found out that she had wet her pants, she really didn't want to live anymore. So, she lowered her proud head and begged Ji for help. Chapter 174. What's going on? Seeing how Ling had pinned Ji to the ground, the crowd was dumbfounded once more. Didn't Ling admit defeat? Furthermore, wasn't that young man named Ji very powerful? Why was he being suppressed by Ling instead? Wu Xia's expression was both shocked and awful. He was shocked that Ling had admitted defeat so quickly. As for why his expression was awful, it was because of the intimate posture between Ling and Ji. In the arena, Ji sighed. You rascal. Wouldn't it have been better if you just admitted defeat earlier? He did not expect that Ling would be so frightened that she would wet her pants. However, if he had not thrown that punch earlier, Ling would not have admitted defeat so obediently. After muttering to himself, Ji squatted down and gestured for Ling to come closer. Ling's face was filled with embarrassment as she was forced to lie on Ji's back helplessly. This was the first time in her life that she had had such intimate contact with a strange man. This was especially so when her cold lower body came into contact with Ji's back. She was so embarrassed that she wanted to dig a hole and bury herself in it. Did you manage to hold on tight? Ji asked. He knew that the clothes on his back were already dirty, but he did not mention it. I'm done. Ling wrapped her legs around Ji's waist and wrapped her arms around Ji's neck as she replied shyly. At this moment, she lowered her head and rested her forehead gently on the back of Ji's neck. I'll be leaving then. As soon as he finished speaking, Ji executed his movement skill and left the arena. He felt that he had already taught Ling a lesson today. There was no need for him to embarrass her in front of so many people. After all, it was not a small matter for a top genius to wet her pants during a battle. Ding! Master has used the high-level profound rank skill 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash. Experience gained from the high-level profound rank skill 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash. 400 by 999 times. In just a few breaths' time, Ji arrived at the maple forest where she had first met Ling. I'll leave you here. Go and clean yourself up. Ji put down Ling on his back and said indifferently. With that, he left the maple forest. Ding! Master has used the high-level profound rank skill 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash. Experience gained from the high-level profound rank skill 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash. 400 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master, for successfully breaking through to the initial stage of the profound rank high-grade profound skill 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash. At the same time, his movement technique had also improved. Ling was about to say something when she found that Ji had disappeared. She immediately sat on the ground and covered her red and hot face with her hands. Her heart was filled with shame and despair. I can't get married. I really can't get married. Not only had her body been seen by him, but she had also wet her pants in front of him today. In comparison, winning or losing was a small matter. Today, Ji had replaced Ling as the new number 1 on the Qian Yuan list. He was also the new number 1 core disciple in the Qian Yuan martial house. Now, he was completely famous in the Qian Yuan martial house. Almost every disciple in the Qian Yuan martial house had heard of Ji. The news of him forcing Ling to admit defeat with just 2 punches had spread throughout the Qian Yuan martial house. Many elders in the Qian Yuan martial house guessed that Ji was the same person who had made a name for himself in the alchemy conference. Therefore, they all came to visit Ji. During this period of time, Ji received many greeting gifts from the various elders. There were elixirs, weapons, cultivation techniques, materials, and so on. However, there were no gold coins. As for why there were no gold coins, it was because the common currency in the Qian Yuan martial house was something called contribution points. It was said that in order to ensure balance, the Qian Yuan martial house only allowed students to use contribution points to make transactions. Originally, Ji was thinking about how to deal with these things. After a few days, Qi Ling came to visit again. "Why are you here again?" Ji said with a face full of misfortune. He thought that it would be Jiang Yuechu or Jiang Yuexin. He did not expect that it would be Qi Ling who he had not seen for a few days. "What do you mean by that expression and tone?" Qi Ling said angrily. "How dare you embarrass me in front of so many people last time? I won't let you off so easily." She was extremely embarrassed when she thought about what had happened last time. Chapter 175. That's your own problem. What does it have to do with me? Ji rolled her eyes at Qi Ling. Sure enough, this woman still didn't change her nature. She was still as unreasonable as ever. This. Qi Ling was about to flare up, but she held it in. After all, she knew very well that she couldn't win against her. Ji couldn't be bothered to continue arguing with her, so she went straight to the point. "Speak. Why are you looking for me this time?" "My master is looking for you again," Qi Ling said. Okay. Before he could finish his sentence, Ji instantly used the 1,000 illusory flash and disappeared on the spot. Seeing that Ji didn't even wait for her, Qi Ling was infuriated. However, she knew that it was meaningless to be angry here, so she immediately chased after her. At this moment, Ji had already arrived at the Purple Gold Palace. "May I ask why Mansion Master has summoned me here this time?" Ji asked. "I heard that you defeated my disciple, Qi Ling. First of all, I want to know one thing. Did something happen between you and my disciple?" Murong Zili sat on the high platform in the Purple Gold Palace as usual. "Indeed, something did happen between me and Qi Ling." Ji nodded honestly. "All right, let's get down to business," Murong Zili said. Murong Zili said, "Although you and my disciple don't get along well with each other, I hope you can tolerate her." Before Ji could say anything, Murong Zili added, "As a condition, I can personally accept the Jiang sisters as my disciples. What do you think? Then, I'll have to trouble you, Mansion Master." A hint of surprise flashed across Ji's eyes, but she accepted it decisively. In fact, it was very easy to deal with a woman like Qi Ling. All she had to do was ignore her. In any case, this was a task that he could easily complete without any effort. Moreover, he could make Mansion Master Murong accept Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin as his disciples. There was no reason for him to refuse. "This is the only thing I want to tell you. You can go back now," Murong Zili said. All right. After that, Ji left the Violet Gold Hall. Even though he did not know why Manor Head Murong would specially call him over for such a small matter, he was too lazy to think too much about it. After all, this was a matter that would only benefit him and not harm him. Watching Ji leave, Murong Zili looked pensive. "Ling Master can only help you to this extent. As for whether you can succeed or not, that will depend on your luck." On the way back, Ji ran into Qi Ling, who was rushing over. "You're done so quickly?" Upon seeing Ji walking over, Qi Ling exclaimed in surprise. "It's just a small matter. Naturally, it won't take up much time," Ji said calmly. "What small matter?" Qi Ling asked curiously. "You don't need to know." After saying this, Ji left. "You're really pissing me off." Qi Ling stomped her feet in anger. His attitude and tone always made her feel very uncomfortable. Even though she had always hated men, she had never hated a man so much before. Apart from that, she felt that there was a special feeling mixed in with her hatred. However, she could not tell what kind of feeling it was. Soon, Ji returned to the dormitory. He planned to start dealing with the gifts that the elders had sent him. First was the pills. Without even thinking about it, he ate them directly. Ding! Master has consumed a superior second-grade medicinal pill. Martial arts cultivation experience gained. 10,000 * 999 times. Ding! Master has consumed a medium grade 2 pill. Martial Path Cultivation Experience Points gained 7,000 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your martial path cultivation has successfully broken through to the peak of 7th level defensive profound realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your martial path cultivation has successfully broken through to the peak of 7th level defensive profound realm. Even though the elders were very sincere, these pills were not very effective for GU at the moment. After eating a lot of grade 2 pills, his martial path cultivation had only broken through to the peak of 7th level defensive profound realm. He was only one step away from 8th level defensive profound realm. As for the materials, GU kept them in his storage ring. Next, he did not pay attention to the mystic skills, cultivation methods, and other miscellaneous things. Instead, his eyes fell on a green longsword. He did not recognize the name of the green longsword, but he knew that it was a precious weapon. Chapter 176. In this world, strength spoke louder than words. Naturally, there was no lack of weapons. Swords, knives, spears, staffs, and so on were all very common weapons. However, as a martial cultivator's cultivation increased, ordinary weapons were increasingly unable to satisfy their needs. In that case, he would naturally need a higher grade artifact. Treasured weapons were superior to ordinary weapons. From the lowest to the highest, they were divided into 9 grades, including lower, middle, and upper grades. A treasured artifact could greatly increase the strength of a martial cultivator. For example, if a martial cultivator at the 3rd level of the body tempering stage possessed an inferior grade 1 treasured artifact, then he would be practically invincible against those at the 3rd level of the body tempering stage. Even challenging those at the 4th level of the body tempering stage would not be a problem. As for the cyan sword in front of GU, according to the original owner, it was a medium grade 2nd grade treasure. Moreover, it had just been forged not long ago and had yet to be named. After some consideration, GU decided to name it Cyan Vein Sword. The entire sword was cyan in color, and the body of the sword was engraved with mysterious patterns. The name Cyan Vein Sword was very fitting. With this Cyan Vein Sword, GU's strength had increased by another level. However, if I want to truly unleash the power of this sword, I'll have to learn the way of the sword. GU thought to herself, if one did not understand the way of the sword, no matter how high the grade of the sword was, it would not be of much use in his hands. Let's give it a try. In terms of sword Dao, I should be able to get 999 times the experience. GU began to test out her idea. She raised the green vein sword and waved it around. He realized that this cyan vein sword was quite heavy. Even though he had a lot of strength, he did not feel particularly relaxed. If it was a normal 1st level defensive profound realm martial artist, they might not even be able to lift the green vein sword. Just as GU swung the cyan vein sword, the system beeped as expected. Ding! Master brandished the sword. Basic sword technique experience gained. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your basic sword technique has successfully broken through to the initial success stage. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your basic sword technique has successfully broken through to the mastery realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your basic sword technique has successfully broken through to the dominating refinement realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your basic sword technique has successfully broken through to the peak of perfection realm. Ding! It has been detected that basic sword technique has reached the perfection realm, automatically upgrading to the low yellow rank profound skill grasswood sword technique. As expected, he obtained a sword art after swinging his sword casually. GU still wanted to continue using her grasswood swordsmanship and try to raise her swordsmanship to the profound level as soon as possible. However, he didn't want to practice swordsmanship in the dormitory because it would easily break the things in the dormitory. After that, GU set off for the Hall of Swordsmanship. Although he had never been to the Sword Dao main hall, He had heard that there was a special place for the martial house's students to practice their swordsmanship. Before long, he arrived at the Great Hall of Swordsmanship. Jiyu looked around and found that there were quite a lot of people in the Great Hall of Swordsmanship. Perhaps it was because many people liked to use swords. At the same time, many people in the hall also noticed Jiyu walking in. Isn't that Jiyu? Is he here to practice his swordsmanship? What? Oh, I didn't see it. It can't be. You said that guy is Jiyu who defeated Qi Ling. No matter how I look at it, it doesn't look like him at all. I don't think so either. I thought it was a tall and strong man, but he did defeat Qi Ling. Even the martial house master has acknowledged his identity as the chief disciple, so there's nothing to say. This was the first time most of the people were seeing the famous Jiyu, so they were discussing him enthusiastically. Jiyu didn't care about what these people were saying at all. He walked into the hall and began to practice his swordsmanship. Chapter 177. Ding. Master has performed Grasswood Sword. Experience gained from Grasswood Sword. 20 by 999 times. Ding. Master has performed Grasswood Sword. Experience gained from Grasswood Sword. 20 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations, Master. Your low yellow rank profound skill, Grasswood Sword Art, has successfully broken through to the perfection stage. Ding. It has been detected that the inferior yellow rank Grasswood Sword Art has reached the perfection stage. It has been upgraded to the intermediate yellow rank Wither Sword Art. Soon, Jiyu upgraded the sword art to the intermediate yellow rank. Most of the people in the surroundings were watching Jiyu practice the sword art, because Jiyu's reputation in the Qianyuan martial house had been known by everyone. What? So this guy's sword art is not that good. I thought his sword art was very strong when I saw that the sword in his hand was not ordinary. But it seems that I thought too much. Maybe he just started learning the sword Dao. I haven't seen him use a sword since the day he fought with Qi Ling. Many people could see that the sword art Jiyu had just performed was at most an inferior yellow rank sword art. However, Jiyu completely ignored the discussions around him. He did not care what these people thought of him at all. However, just as he was about to practice the Wither Sword Art, an ear-piercing voice sounded. How dare you show off such a trashy sword art in the Sword Dao Hall? This voice sounded familiar to Jiyu. He immediately turned his head and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw a young man with a sinister look walking over. This person was Wu Xie. Oh, so it's the chief disciple. Wu Xie said in a sarcastic tone, I'm really sorry. The sword art you just performed was too low level. I didn't expect it to be you. Even a fool could see that Wu Xie was deliberately saying such words to disgust Jiyu. I didn't think that Senior Wu Xie would come as well. This is going to be interesting. I heard that in the duel a few days ago, not only did Jiyu defeat Qi Ling, she even took advantage of her. Wu Xie was present at the scene at that time. Given his petty nature, I'm sure he wouldn't be happy to see that. That's right. Wu Xie has been chasing after Qi Ling for almost half a year, but he couldn't even touch her. Now that he has the chance, he's going to make fun of Jiyu. However, everyone in the surroundings seemed to be enjoying the show. Many people were even gloating over Wu Xie's misfortune. They were happy to see Wu Xie mock Jiyu. Because Jiyu had suddenly risen from an outer palace student to a chief student, even if her strength was indeed very strong, it still made many people feel that it was unfair. Jiyu's gaze turned cold. This Wu Xie was clearly here to pick a fight. But he clearly didn't know this guy, so he couldn't figure out what was wrong with this guy. Why didn't you continue to use your noob sword technique? Haha. This time, Wu Xie was even more insatiable. He laughed arrogantly. When the surrounding martial house students heard Wu Xie's words, they also burst into laughter. Jiyu's expression gradually turned cold, and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. He really wanted to tell these people to shut up and get lost, but he couldn't do it directly. This was because the Qianyuan martial house had a rule that forbade any martial house students to fight outside the arena. Those who violated the rule would be severely punished. It was precisely because of this rule that Wu Xie dared to be so arrogant in front of Jiyu. After all, Wu Xie was not stupid. He knew that his strength was far inferior to Jiyu's. If they were in the arena, he definitely wouldn't dare to say a word. However, at this moment, an old man slowly walked in with a black cloth package in his hand. The black cloth package was not completely wrapped. In a black corner that looked like a stone could be seen. Elder Fu. Elder Fu is here. Quiet down. Shoo. As soon as the old man walked in, some of the students exclaimed softly. Immediately, the noise in the arena became much lower. Jiyu just glanced at the old man slightly and didn't pay too much attention to him. However, the moment he came back to his senses, a system notification suddenly sounded. Ding! Master took a look at the sword-marked stone tablet and activated 999 times comprehension ability. Ding! Congratulations, Master. You have successfully comprehended the incomplete sword intent. Jiyu couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then his eyes widened slightly. Suddenly, a sharp aura burst out from his body uncontrollably, like a lonely mountain peak that suddenly broke through the clouds. Chapter 178. Elder Fu, who was slowly moving forward, suddenly stopped. A bright light flashed in his deep eyes. The surrounding martial house students were shocked. They didn't know what had happened. Only Wu Xie was shocked. He had a profound understanding of sword Dao, so he could feel that Ji Yu had comprehended the half-step sword intent. His eyes were full of disbelief. He couldn't believe that this was real. Just a moment ago, the other party was only able to play around with low-grade, yellow-grade sword skills. How could he suddenly comprehend half-step sword intent? How could such a thing happen? Ji Yu was confused. He didn't expect to cause such a big commotion. At this moment, the sword profound flooded into his mind like a tidal wave breaking through a dam, and was completely absorbed by him. What was going on? How could he suddenly comprehend the half-step sword intent? Wait, the sword-marked stone tablet. Was it the old man's thing? After thinking for a moment, Ji Yu's eyes returned to the old man's hand. He just glanced at it casually. This time, he noticed that there was a black thing in the old man's hand. That black thing was probably the sword-marked stone tablet mentioned by the system. At this time, his eyes met the old man's. How did you comprehend the half-step sword intent? Elder Fu asked in a low and hoarse voice. Half-step sword intent. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Even Wu Xie, who had the highest attainment in sword Dao in the martial house, hadn't comprehended the half-step sword intent. How could it be that Ji Yu, who only knew a rookie sword skill, had comprehended it? I comprehended it from the sword-marked stone tablet in the elder's hand. Ji said calmly. Elder Fu was shocked. Not only did he recognize the sword-marked stone tablet, but he also comprehended the half-step sword intent. He had never seen such a terrifying talent in sword Dao. The surrounding martial house students were all dumbfounded by what they saw. Although they didn't notice what the elder was holding, they were familiar with the sword-marked stone tablet. It was a stone tablet carved with the sword mark of a sword Dao master. If one looked at it carefully, it would be helpful to one sword Dao. However, that also depended on the person. If it was a mediocre person with insufficient comprehension, even if he stuck the sword-marked stone tablet on his face all the time, it would be useless. They still remembered that Senior Wu Xie had borrowed this sword-marked stone tablet from Elder Fu. However, after half a month, Senior Brother Wu Xie only managed to comprehend a little bit from it. In the end, he could only give up and return the sword-marked stone tablet to Elder Fu. But this Ji Yu, Elder Fu had only been in here for less than a minute, and she had already comprehended the half-step sword intent. It was as simple as eating and drinking. This wasn't a sword Dao novice who only knew low-grade yellow-ranked sword arts. This was a freak. They even suspected that Ji Yu had only just come into contact with the sword Dao. The inferior yellow-ranked sword art that he had practiced earlier might have just been a test run for him. In fact, their guess was pretty close to the mark. Many of them didn't believe it. They carefully observed the sword-marked stone tablet in Elder Fu's hand. However, other than feeling that this thing looked a little black, he didn't feel anything at all. They were going crazy. It was really annoying to compare oneself to others. Especially Wu Xie. He was completely dumbfounded. He had studied the half-step sword intent for so many years, but he still couldn't comprehend it. However, Ji comprehended it in an instant. Had he been living like a dog all these years? Wu Xie began to doubt his life. His mind was blank. At this time, Elder Fu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Come with me." While speaking, he continued to walk inside. Okay. Ji followed Elder Fu's footsteps almost without hesitation. At this time, no one dared to mock Ji anymore. There was only deep envy and regret in their eyes. They envied Ji because not only did she have extraordinary martial arts strength, but she also had a freakish talent in the sword Dao. They regretted mocking Ji just now. They only hoped that she wouldn't take their trash talk to heart. Otherwise, it would be difficult for them to survive in the Qianyuan martial house in the future, because a freak with terrifying martial arts and sword Dao would definitely be valued by the martial house master and the elders. At that time, she could put them to death with just a word. As for Wu Xie, he hadn't recovered at all. He was still doubting his life. Chapter 179. Ding. Master has taken a step. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash has gained experience points, won by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a step. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash has gained experience points, won by 999 times. Not long after, Ji followed Elder Fu to a secret chamber. Elder, what are you doing? Looking around the secret chamber, Ji was puzzled. Elder Fu did not say anything. Instead, he first lifted the black cloth on the sword marked stone tablet. A small piece of seemingly ordinary black stone tablet was engraved with a deep sword mark. This sword mark contained a mysterious and terrifying sword intent. Ji only took a glance and was deeply attracted by this sword mark. You should be the Ji who defeated Qi Ling a few days ago, right? Elder Fu asked at this moment. In fact, he had already guessed it. He just wanted to confirm it. That's right. Ji nodded. Can you still have an epiphany? Elder Fu placed the sword-marked stone tablet in front of Ji and asked with anticipation in his eyes. Ji was about to say that she could still have an epiphany, but she suddenly thought of something and immediately changed her words. I don't think so anymore. However, if I can comprehend the sword-marked stone tablet for a long time, it might be different. That's true. Epiphany is a rare thing. It's almost impossible to have it twice in a row. Elder Fu nodded slightly. Even so, he still felt a little regretful. By the way, do you mean that if you comprehend the sword-marked stone tablet for a long time, it's possible to have an epiphany? At this moment, Elder Fu finally realized the meaning of Jiu's words and quickly asked, "That's what I mean." Jiu nodded. "Then I can lend this sword-marked stone tablet to you for a while. Anyway, I don't have much use for it. This way, you can comprehend it to your heart's content." Elder Fu said generously. "Thank you, Elder." Ji did not expect Elder Fu to be so generous and quickly thanked him. Elder Fu handed the sword-marked stone tablet to Ji and said, "Okay, you can go back now. If you have any questions about the sword principle in the future, you can come to the sword principle hall to find me at any time." "Thank you for your kindness, Elder." Ji was overjoyed and said gratefully. Then, he left the secret room. Elder Fu watched as Ji walked out of the secret chamber. He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. In fact, he had wanted to take Ji as his personal disciple, but Ji's talent in the sword Dao was too terrifying. He felt that he was not qualified to be Ji's master, and was worried that he would hinder Ji's limitless future. He firmly believed that it wouldn't be long before the Kanglan Empire had another Grandmaster swordsman. In order to avoid some unnecessary trouble, Ji put the sword-marked stone tablet into his storage ring. At this time, when he walked out of the sword principal hall, the surrounding people suddenly became extremely quiet. They didn't even dare to look at Ji. Ji didn't bother to pay attention to these guys. He walked out of the sword principal hall with a calm face and glanced at Wu Xie indifferently. Wu Xie had already calmed down a little, but when he saw Ji's disdainful look, he suddenly felt extremely uncomfortable. Just now, he had mocked Ji for using a novice sword technique, but in the blink of an eye, he had comprehended the incomplete sword intent. He only felt an inexplicable burning sensation on his face, as if there was an invisible slap on his face. However, just as Ji was about to walk out of the sword principal hall, he suddenly saw a familiar figure walking toward him. Qi Ling, what was this girl doing here? The owner of the beautiful figure in front of him was Qi Ling. However, Ji couldn't be bothered to pay attention to this girl. He continued to walk forward as if he didn't see her. At this time, Qi Ling also saw Ji. She immediately quickened her pace to greet him, but Ji walked past her. Qi Ling's face stiffened, and she immediately scolded, "Hey, don't ignore me. You're here for me?" Ji had no choice but to turn around and say helplessly, "Otherwise?" Qi Ling said arrogantly, "I heard that you were practicing here, so I came to take a look." "Sorry, I've already finished practicing." Ji didn't give Qi Ling any face and said coldly, "So, you can go back now." You ungrateful brat. It's your blessing to be able to watch you practice." Qi Ling pointed her slender finger at Ji and said angrily, "I can't accept this blessing. Let whoever wants to accept it. Just don't come looking for me." Ji shrugged and sighed. "Stop right there." Qi Ling's face turned red when she realized that she couldn't win against Ji. "Don't think that you can be so presumptuous just because you won against me last time. Do you dare to compete with me in sword principle?" As soon as Qi Ling's words came out, the surrounding disciples were shocked. Heavens, is this girl a fool? She actually wants to compete with that freak Ji in sword principle. Chapter 180. Qi Ling's talent and strength in the sword Dao were both on par with Wu Xie, and she was even slightly stronger than him. However, Ji had comprehended the incomplete sword intent. She was on a completely different level from Wu Xie's. All of the martial house students present had witnessed how terrifying Ji Yu's sword Dao was, and they all thought that Qi Ling was just asking for trouble. However, Qi Ling was completely unaware of this. She also didn't know that Ji Yu had comprehended the incomplete sword intent. She had a look of confidence on her face because the person who had just reported to her had said that Ji Yu only knew inferior yellow-grade sword techniques. Obviously, it was impossible for Ji Yu to surpass her in the sword Dao. I'll say it again. You can compete with whoever you want, but don't come looking for me. I'm not interested in that. Ji Yu said indifferently. Also, if you act like you did last time, I don't want to be dirted by you again. He was naturally referring to the incident where Qi Ling was so scared that she wet her pants. That's all. Goodbye. After saying that, Ji Yu instantly disappeared. Ding. Master has used Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash experience gained. 400 by 999 times. Ding. Congratulations, Master. The Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash has successfully broken through to the initial success stage. At this moment, Qi Ling finally realized what Ji Yu meant. She was instantly enraged and humiliated to the extreme. She kept cursing Ji Yu in her heart. Seeing how furious Qi Ling was, no one in the surroundings dared to say anything. They didn't dare to provoke this little princess unless they were tired of living. After a long while, Qi Ling finally calmed down. Ji Yu must be very weak in the sword Dao. That's why she doesn't dare to compete with me. Qi Ling snorted inwardly. Humph. I've finally found this fellow's weakness. Little did she know that Ji Yu only found Qi Ling annoying. At this moment, Ji Yu had already returned to the dormitory. He then took out the sword-marked stone tablet from his storage ring and planned to start improving his sword intent. He focused his attention on the sword-marked stone tablet. Ding! Master has looked at the sword-marked stone tablet for 1 minute. Experience gained from half-step sword intent, 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master has looked at the sword-marked stone tablet for 1 minute. Experience gained from half-step sword intent, 1 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your half-step sword intent has successfully broken through to 10% half-step sword intent. About half an hour later, Ji Yu's sword intent transformed. At this moment, his sword essence was rising steadily, and his swordsmanship had also improved a lot. Originally, he should have had no talent in swordsmanship, but after being forcibly increased by 999 times by the system, he instantly soared. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your half-step sword intent has successfully broken through to 20% half-step sword intent. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Your half-step sword intent has successfully broken through to 30% half-step sword intent. After a day, GU's half-step sword intent had reached 30% half-step sword intent. On that day, GU's performance in the Sword Dao Hall once again shocked the entire Qianyuan martial mansion. He had comprehended the half-step sword intent. Everyone knew what this meant. In the entire Kanglan Empire, there was probably no one who could compare with GU's terrifying talent in swordsmanship. After this news spread out, no one in the Qianyuan martial mansion dared to underestimate GU anymore. Even if they could not suck up to him, they felt that they should at least stay away from him. The next day, GU was talking to an old man. This old man was the Grand Elder of Alchemy in the Qianyuan martial mansion. His name was Zhuang Mingyan. Ever since GU's real identity was exposed to the higher-ups of the Qianyuan martial mansion, Zhuang Mingyan began to pester GU from time to time. Wasn't that why he was here again today? GU, this old man is begging you. Can you become this old man's personal disciple? Zhuang Mingyan begged in a low voice. Once you agree, I'll teach you everything I've learned in my life. I'll even give you the position of Grand Elder of Alchemy. You have to think about it carefully. GU did not know what to say. He felt very embarrassed when a Grand Elder of Alchemy behaved in this manner in front of him. He had rejected him in a euphemistic way before, but it did not work at all. If he rejected him too directly, it would be too disrespectful to the Grand Elder. However, he did not want to be anyone's disciple. After all, he was used to being free and did not want to be restricted. Even if Zhuang Mingyan gave him the position of Grand Elder of Alchemy, he was not very willing because he would not be able to leave the Qianyuan martial mansion at all. Besides, he had the system, so he did not need anyone to teach him alchemy. Seeing that GU did not say a word, Zhuang Mingyan became even more anxious. He said desperately, "How about this? You can tell me if you are not satisfied with anything. I'll definitely satisfy you." Chapter 181. No matter what dissatisfaction or request GU made, Zhuang Mingyan would try his best to satisfy GU. After all, an alchemy genius like GU is hard to come by in 10,000 years. There would not be a second one in the entire Azure Water Empire. He had to seize this opportunity to pass on his alchemy skills. Except for GU, no one in the Qianyuan martial house could become an inheritor that he was satisfied with. GU thought about it and said, "Actually, I don't want to be restricted by others." Before GU could finish her words, Zhuang Mingyan couldn't help but say, "That's easy. You can be my disciple, and I won't restrict you." Zhuang Mingyan interrupted her words, so GU didn't know what to say. He couldn't directly say that Zhuang Mingyan wasn't qualified to be his master. That would be too disrespectful. Seeing that GU didn't say anything, Zhuang Mingyan was even more anxious. Afraid that GU would refuse again, Zhuang Mingyan immediately compromised. "You just need to be my disciple. It's equivalent to being my disciple in name. It won't affect you at all. I'll still pass on all my alchemy skills to you." He had been entangled with GU for so long. From the beginning to the end, he wanted GU to pass on his alchemy skills. GU hesitated for a moment and nodded. "I accept." Since the Grand Elder had already compromised to this extent, he had nothing to say. Moreover, this level of compromise was almost beneficial to him. "Great, that's great." Zhuang Mingyan was very excited. "When you have time, you can come to the Alchemy Hall directly to find me. At that time, I'll pass on all my alchemy skills to you." "Thank you for your kindness, Elder," GU said. "Then I'll go back now. You can't go back on your words later." Zhuang Mingyan said, "Don't worry, Elder. I'm not an untrustworthy person." GU said. Zhuang Mingyan smiled and said, "I'll wait for you in the Alchemy Hall." After walking out of GU's dormitory, Zhuang Mingyan was in a very good mood. He had finally found the most suitable inheritor, and he no longer had to worry about his inheritance being broken day and night. However, not long after he left the dormitory, his expression gradually became dignified, as if he had a lot on his mind. In a room, Ji organized her things as if nothing had happened. The alchemy Grand Elder had already compromised to such an extent, so he naturally didn't need to care about those things anymore. Right now, he was preparing ahead to the Great Hall of Swordsmanship to practice his swordsmanship. He wanted to level up his swordsmanship as soon as possible. Once he broke through to Tongxian realm, and his swordsmanship had reached mystic level or above, he would be able to return to Choyang ancient city and seek revenge on that old dog, Lin Zhanshan. He still remembered the enmity of being seriously injured back then. Although Lin Zhanshan was one of the top powerhouses in Chaoyang ancient city, the overall martial arts strength in Chaoyang ancient city was not high. At most, Lin Zhanshan's cultivation level would not exceed LV3 Tongxian realm. Ji felt that with his current strength, he was already invincible under Tongxian realm. He might be able to fight against those who had just entered Tongxian realm. Once he entered Tongxian realm, it would be more than enough to deal with that old dog, Lin Zhanshan. As for that Shan Yin who was barely surviving, Ji didn't have the chance to deal with him yet. When he had the chance, he would definitely deal with Chun Yin. As long as it was someone who had a grudge against him, he wouldn't let any of them go. At this moment, Ji had already arrived at the swordsmanship hall. Those martial house students who were practicing their swordsmanship immediately hid far away when they saw Ji. At the very least, they distanced themselves from Ji by a few meters. After all, they couldn't afford to offend Ji, but they were too embarrassed to curry favor with him. Hence, they could only hide. Ji didn't care about their actions and continued practicing his swordsmanship. Ding! Master has performed the Kushuan swordsmanship. Kushuan swordsmanship obtained experience points, 50 by 999 times. Ding! Master has performed the Kushuan swordsmanship. Kushuan swordsmanship obtained experience points, 50 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The Kushuan swordsmanship has successfully broken through to the greater mastery stage. Ding! It has been detected that the intermediate yellow rank Kushuan swordsmanship has reached perfection and has automatically upgraded to the advanced yellow rank fallen leaf swordsmanship. After practicing for half a day, Ji had successfully maxed out the Kushuan swordsmanship and obtained the advanced yellow rank fallen leaf swordsmanship. Chapter 182. Ji did not stop at all and immediately began to practice the fallen leaves sword technique. The surrounding martial house students were all dumbfounded. They could clearly see that Ji's sword technique was getting stronger and stronger. This kind of speed of improvement made them all dumbfounded. It could only be said that as expected of a monster who crushed Wu Xie in terms of talent in the sword Dao, this was not something that could be done by a human. Ding! Master has performed the Fallen Leaves sword technique. Fallen Leaves sword technique obtained experience points, 100 by 999 times. Ding! Master has performed the Fallen Leaves sword technique. Fallen Leaves sword technique obtained experience points, 100 by 999 times. After practicing the Fallen Leaves sword technique for a while, Ji could feel that the Fallen Leaves sword technique would soon reach the small success stage. However, at this moment, an old and hoarse voice sounded. Ji, your sword technique doesn't seem to be strong. The person who came was the Sword Dao Grand Elder in charge of the Sword Dao Hall, Elder Fu. That's right, because I haven't been in contact with the Sword Dao for long. Ji stopped the sword in his hand and said humbly. Hearing Ji's words, Elder Fu could not help but sigh in his heart. The young man in front of him had only been in contact with the Sword Dao for a short while, but he had already comprehended the half-step sword intent. Thinking back to when he was the other party's age, he had already studied the Sword Dao for 2 to 3 years, but he was far inferior to the other party. With such a terrifying talent in the Sword Dao, if this young man was given another year, he would probably stand at the peak of the Sword Dao in the entire Kanglan Empire. Elder, if there's nothing else, I'll practice my sword technique first. At this moment, Ji said, Wait, come with me for a moment. Elder Fu said, Okay. Ji did not hesitate and immediately followed Elder Fu out of the Sword Dao Hall. I don't think there's a need for you to practice such an ordinary sword technique. With your talent in the Sword Dao, you can go to the Scripture Pavilion and choose a profound rank or above sword technique to practice. Outside the Sword Dao Hall, Elder Fu continued to speak. It was impossible for him to know that Ji Yu's sword technique could automatically level up, so he thought that Ji Yu was wasting her time practicing a yellow rank sword technique. Ji Yu thought for a while and felt that what Elder Fu said was indeed reasonable. Then I will go to the Scripture Pavilion to take a look later. Thank you for your guidance, Elder. Although he could continuously improve the realm and grade of his swordsmanship, compared to directly learning a profound level swordsmanship, the latter would definitely be more efficient. It's good that you can understand this. Elder Fu nodded with a slightly gratified look in his eyes. I will inform the old man in charge of the Scripture Depository. You can directly enter the 4th floor of the Scripture Depository later. You don't need any contribution points. Then I'll have to trouble you, Elder. Ji Yu bowed respectfully. In fact, he had a lot of contribution points on him, which were all given to him by the elders before. It was more than enough to exchange for an ordinary mystic rank sword technique manual. However, to be able to directly enter the 4th floor of the Scripture Pavilion and obtain a higher level sword technique manual for free was naturally the best. Ji Yu had learned before that the Scripture Depository could be said to be a place in the Qianyuan martial house that specialized in storing cultivation methods, mystic skills, secret techniques, and other secret techniques. It also provided a place for the martial house's students to choose from. However, not everyone could enter the Scripture Depository casually because it had a very strict system. The martial house's students were roughly divided into outer palace students and inner palace students, but the two had a more detailed division. The outer palace students were further divided into the outer palace students and the official outer palace students, and the inner palace students were further divided into the ordinary inner palace students and the core inner palace students. For example, the outer palace students could only enter the 1st floor of the Scripture Depository at most. They were not qualified to enter the higher floors. That was why the outer palace students could enter the 2nd floor of the Scripture Depository, and so on. Only the core inner palace students could enter the 4th floor of the Scripture Depository. Since there was such a strict classification, the secret techniques on each floor of the Scripture Depository were naturally very different. The 1st floor only had low-level yellow rank secret techniques. The 2nd floor had middle-level and high-level yellow rank secret techniques. The 3rd floor had low-level mystic rank secret techniques. The 4th floor had middle-level and high-level mystic rank secret techniques. In fact, there was a 5th floor of the Scripture Depository, but it was a mysterious place that not even the core disciples could enter. It was said that there were Earth-level secret techniques stored there, and in the entire Qianyuan martial house, only the martial house master could enter. After all, Earth-level secret techniques were not a joke, and there were only a few of them in the entire Kanglan Empire. Of course, having the qualifications to enter the Scripture Depository was one thing, and having enough contribution points to exchange for a secret technique was another. The higher the level of the secret technique, the more contribution points needed to exchange for it. For example, Ji Yu's contribution points might not be enough to exchange for a high-level mystic rank sword technique manual. This freeloading opportunity was extremely precious. He naturally had to seize this opportunity and go to the 4th floor of the Scripture Depository to choose a high-level mystic rank sword technique that was most suitable for him. Chapter 183. With the help of Elder Fu, Ji Yu obtained the right to enter the 4th floor of the Scripture Pavilion and choose any secret book for free. The Scripture Pavilion of the Qianyuan Martial House was a 5-story wooden building. As soon as Ji Yu entered the Scripture Pavilion, he noticed a sloppy old man sitting on a wooden chair and snoring. However, he knew that this sloppy old man was not an ordinary person, but the elder who was in charge of the Scripture Pavilion. Ji Yu bowed slightly to the elder of the Scripture Pavilion and then went up the stairs of the Scripture Pavilion. Until Ji Yu disappeared at the corner of the stairs, the elder of the Scripture Pavilion slowly opened his eyes. At least he knows etiquette, but I don't know if his talent is as incredible as what the old man said. The elder of the scripture pavilion murmured a few words and then closed his eyes and snored again. Ding! Master has taken a step. Thousand illusions and myriad transformations flash gained experience. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master has taken a step. Thousand illusions and myriad transformations flash gained experience. 1 by 999 times. G did not waste time on the first and second floor of the scripture pavilion and directly went up to the third floor. After all, the first and second floor of the scripture pavilion only had yellow-ranked secret books, which were useless to him. As for the third floor, he just came to have a look. He found that the third floor was obviously smaller than the first and second floor, so naturally, there were fewer secret books. Because the secret books here were all low-rank, profound secret books, they were more valuable. The Qianyuan Martial House was one of the 3 holy places of martial arts in the Kanglan Empire, so there were only so many low-rank, profound secret books. Ji found a few secret books and looked at them. Blood-dissipating palm, low-rank, profound palm technique. Qingyuan skill, low-rank, profound technique. Dazzling sun sword art, low-rank, profound sword technique. After looking at them, Ji felt that these secret books were very ordinary. Furthermore, he already possessed 3 low-level profound rank profound skills: Limitless Finger, Rushing Thunder Leg, and Blood Shadow Claw. Soon, he stopped paying attention to the secret manuals on the 3rd floor and prepared to ascend to the 4th floor. Because the entire scripture pavilion was surrounded by some kind of mysterious array, none of the secret manuals could be opened. Only by borrowing the secret manuals could one read them normally. As a result, you could only see the surface of these secret manuals. Naturally, the system could not trigger the 999 times comprehension ability. Therefore, it was impossible for him to buy all the secret manuals in the Sutra Depository for free. The 4th floor of the Scripture Depository was only a third of the size of the 3rd floor. There were only middle-level and high-level middle-level manuals here, so they were naturally rare. After searching for a while, Ji finally found a sword technique. Lone Peak of 9 Swords, profound rank upper class, profound skill. However, just as Ji grabbed the secret manual, another slender hand reached out from the opposite side. He took a closer look and found that it was Qi Ling, who was reading the Lone Peak 9 Swords. "Why are you here?" Ji asked subconsciously. In fact, the day after Qi Ling was defeated by him, she had defeated the person who had been ranked 3rd on the Qianyuan list. Now, Qi Ling had become a core disciple. However, he was not interested in asking about it, so he did not know about it. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Qi Ling realized that it was Ji who was standing opposite her. "I want to ask you why you are here," Qi Ling said. Qi Ling said arrogantly, "This sword art is what I want. Let go of me now." "I'm sorry, but I got this sword technique first." Ji refused to budge. "I don't care. I want this sword technique," Qi Ling said unreasonably. Ji did not want to continue arguing with her. He exerted a little force and pulled the sword technique manual out of Qi Ling's hand. However, he accidentally used a little too much force and pulled Qi Ling over. Qi Ling cried out in shock and fell toward Ji uncontrollably. However, there was still a bookshelf between the two of them. Ding! Master has used Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash experience gained. 400 by 999 times. Just as Qi Ling was about to crash into the bookshelf, Ji reaction was extremely fast. She used her movement technique to shield Qi Ling and caught her with her hands. Chapter 184. Qi Ling fell on Ji body, but Ji didn't move at all. It was as if he had just been hit by a piece of paper. Qi Ling was stunned for a long time before she came to her senses. She hurriedly struggled out of Ji embrace in a panic. She pointed at Ji with a face full of shame and indignation. Why you? You? What are you trying to say? What do you want to say?" Ji, on the other hand, had a calm expression as if nothing had happened. "You're taking advantage of me again. You lecher. Qi Ling scolded. You're thinking too much. I'm not trying to take advantage of you. If it weren't for the bookshelf behind me, I wouldn't have bothered with you. Ji was speechless. There was a rule in the Sutra Depository that no one was allowed to destroy anything in the Sutra Depository. If he hadn't helped Qi Ling earlier, he would have been in big trouble. Qi Ling thought about it and agreed with his words. However, she was unwilling to admit defeat. That's just an excuse. I won't be fooled by you. Remember this, I won't let you off. Do whatever you want. I'll be leaving first, Ji said calmly. After saying that, he disappeared from the spot. Ding! Master has used Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash experience gained. 400 by 999 times. At this moment, Ji had already left the 4th floor of the Sutra Depository, so he didn't have to worry about what Qi Ling was doing on the 4th floor. He quickly went down to the 1st floor and handed the Lone Peak 9 Swords manual to the elder according to the rules of the Sutra Depository. All right, you can borrow this sword technique now. The elder of the Sutra Depository slowly opened his eyes and glanced at the manual in Jiyu's hand. He said, remember to return it within a month. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. I understand. After saying that, Jiyu left the Sutra Depository. The elder of the Sutra Depository looked at Jiyu with a deep gaze. After returning to the dormitory, Jiyu flipped open the Lone Peak 9 Swords manual. Ding! Master took a look at the Lone Peak of 9 Swords and triggered 999 times comprehension. Ding! Congratulations, Master. You have successfully comprehended the high-grade, profound rank, profound skill, Lone Peak of 9 Swords. With just one look, Jiyu immediately understood the Lone Peak of 9 Swords. Not only that, but he had also mastered the Lone Peak 9 Swords. The Lone Peak of 9 Swords had a total of 9 styles. The sword momentum was extremely dangerous, like a lonely, cold mountain peak, causing people to involuntarily feel a chill in their heart. At this moment, Jiyu couldn't help but practice this sword art. She immediately left the dormitory. He didn't even bother to go to the Great Hall of Swordsmanship, which was further away. He went directly to the dense forest behind the dormitory. Following the impression in her mind, Jiyu immediately began to practice the Lone Peak of 9 Swords. Ding! Master has performed Lone Peak of 9 Swords. Lone Peak of 9 Swords experience gained. 400 by 999 times. Ding! Master has performed Lone Peak of 9 Swords. Lone Peak of 9 Sword experience gained. 400 by 999 times. Ding! Master has performed Lone Peak of 9 Swords. Lone Peak of 9 Swords experience gained. 400 by 999 times. Congratulations, Master. The profound rank upper profound skill Lone Peak of 9 Swords has successfully broken through to the small success realm. With the breakthrough in the sword art realm, Jiyu's understanding of the Lone Peak of 9 Swords had improved by a step. He estimated that with his current cultivation of the 7th level of the defensive profound realm, if he were to cultivate the Lone Peak of 9 Swords to perfection, he would be able to instantly kill any defensive profound realm martial cultivator, unless the opponent was only half a step away from the Tongshin realm or had a profound skill of the same level. This was because the Lone Peak of 9 Swords was not a sword art that could be casually cultivated. If an ordinary person were to cultivate the Lone Peak of 9 Swords, they would have to take the risk of breaking their meridians. Because of this, the power of the Lone Peak of 9 Swords was also extraordinary. Once it was cultivated to the peak, the power of the Lone Peak of 9 Swords would be comparable to an ordinary Earth-ranked sword art. However, Jiyu had directly comprehended it through the system, so there was no risk at all. Simply put, no matter how he cultivated this Lone Peak of 9 Swords, there were only benefits and no disadvantages to him. In the dense forest, Jiyu once again used the Lone Peak of 9 Swords. Jiyu took a step forward and quickly slashed out 9 consecutive swords, the sword force revealing a proud and aloof temperament. In the next moment, the big tree in front of him was easily cut down like tofu. The entire cross-section was extremely smooth and there were almost no wrinkles at all. Chapter 185. The power of the lone peak 9 swords is indeed amazing. Jiyu nodded with satisfaction. With this power, if he were to use the solitary 9 sword against Wu Xie, he would be able to easily cut him in half. However, he was not interested in challenging Wu Xie since fighting was not allowed in the martial palace. In the next few days, Ji had been practicing the lone killing 9 swords in this dense forest. He had stored a lot of food in his storage ring, so he did not need to go out to eat every day. Ding! Master has used the lone peak 9 swords. Lone peak 9 swords obtained experience points, 400 by 999 times. Ding! Master has used the lone peak 9 swords. Lone peak 9 swords obtained experience points, 400 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The superior mystic skill, Lone Peak 9 Swords, has successfully broken through to the mastery level. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The superior mystic skill, Lone Peak 9 Swords, has successfully broken through to the mastery level. God knows how many days had passed, and Jiyu is only one step away from mastering the Lone Peak 9 Swords. However, at this moment, someone broke into this dense forest. Jiyu also sensed that the other party's aura was very strong, and his cultivation was at least above the mystic mastery level. He was definitely an elder. Usually, almost no one would come into this forest, but today, an elder-level figure suddenly came. Jiyu was very concerned and stopped the Lone Peak 9 swords that he was about to use. Soon, an old figure appeared in front of him. The owner of this figure was the Pill Palace's Grand Elder, Zhuang Mingyan. My little ancestor, I've finally found you. As soon as he saw Jiyu, Zhuang Mingyan immediately cried bitterly. Elder, what is this? Seeing Elder Zhuang like this, Jiyu was a little confused. I haven't seen you for so many days, and I was so worried. Zhuang Mingyan complained. Since 3 days ago, he had sent people to search every corner of the Qianyuan Martial Mansion, but they still couldn't find Jiyu. Until today, he finally couldn't hold it in anymore and personally made a move. He was deeply afraid that Jiyu would go back on her word. Just now, he happened to pass by the dense forest and felt a strong sword aura coming from the dense forest. He also remembered that Jiyu also had a monstrous talent in the way of the sword, so he finally found Jiyu. When he first found out that Jiyu was a genius in the way of the sword, he was shocked for a long time, so he had a deep impression of her. Elder, you don't have to do this. I won't go back on my word. Jiyu couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth as she said awkwardly. He could tell what Elder Zhuang was worried about. At the same time, he found it very strange. Why would an alchemy elder act so lowly in front of him? Could it be simply because he was a genius in alchemy? No matter what, it's fine as long as you're still here, Zhuang Mingyan said expectantly. Are you free now? If you are, come with me to the alchemy hall. Jiyu looked at the azure vein sword in her hand for a moment, then said, I'll go with you now. The other party was so lowly that it made him feel very embarrassed. He decided to temporarily put the lone peak of 9 swords aside. After all, he would have plenty of time to practice the lone peak of 9 swords in the future. Then come with me. Zhuang Mingyan was overjoyed. After about 10 minutes, Jiyu followed Zhuang Mingyan to the alchemy hall. Compared to the sword hall, the alchemy hall structure was more complicated. The alchemy hall was divided into several areas. The first was the trading area. Martial House students could trade all kinds of pills and alchemy materials in this area, and they all had to use contribution points to do so. The second was the medicinal field area. In the Kanglan Empire, many forces had their own medicinal fields. As one of the 3 holy lands of martial arts, the Qianyuan Martial House was no exception. As long as the Martial House students had enough contribution points, they could gather medicinal materials here. The third was the teaching area. As the name suggested, it was a place where alchemy was taught. Every day, many Martial House students would come here to learn alchemy. These were the 3 most popular areas. There were also some small areas that were not listed one by one. Zhuang Mingyan seemed to have the idea of letting Ji Yu inherit his position as the Alchemy Hall's head elder, so he directly brought Ji Yu to tour the entire Alchemy Hall. Ji Yu saw this, but she didn't say anything. After that, Zhuang Mingyan brought Ji Yu to a room where there were no outsiders. Then they started to get down to business. Chapter 186. You're quite accomplished in alchemy. I won't talk about those useless theories with you. Instead, I'll tell you some of my personal experience. Zhuang Mingyan said solemnly. I'm willing to listen to your explanation. Ji Yu's expression turned serious. In the next hour, Ji Yu listened to Elder Zhuang's explanation of various theories that were most suitable for practice. The theory behind alchemy knowledge was similar to what she learned in her previous life. Theories that were memorized and theories that were suitable for practice were completely different. There was a huge gap between them. Ding. Master has listened to the essence of the theory. Alchemy attainment gained experience points, 10 by 999 times. Ding. Master has listened to the essence of the theory. Alchemy attainment gained experience points, 10 by 999 times. The knowledge that Elder Zhuang shared was indeed extraordinary. The experience points were 10 times more than what she would get from listening to alchemy lessons. After this hour, Ji Yu felt that she would soon be promoted to an intermediate grade 4 alchemist. All right, that's all I can teach you, Zhuang Mingyan said in a deep voice. Zhuang Mingyan said in a deep voice, next, this old man will teach you a unique skill. Inherited secret technique? Ji Yu was a little curious. That's right. In this entire world, there won't be a second person who knows this inherited secret technique other than me. Zhuang Mingyan said, of course, you'll be the second person soon. What kind of inherited secret technique is it? Ji Yu was getting more and more curious. I'll explain it to you verbally. With your talent, you should be able to remember it easily. Zhuang Mingyan's tone sounded like he was very confident in Ji Yu. From what he knew, Ji Yu's alchemy level was at least above an intermediate grade 3 alchemist based on her performance in the alchemy conference. It was even possible for her to become an advanced grade 3 alchemist. However, Ji Yu was already a grade 4 alchemist. If Zhuang Mingyan knew about this, he would be even more humble. This was because even Zhuang Mingyan, the Grand Elder of the Qian Yuan Martial Mansion, was only a superior grade for alchemist. What this old man is going to teach you now is a 4th grade lower level alchemy hand seal called Spirit Connection Mysterious Fire Seal, which is also the inheritance secret art that this old man just mentioned. Then, Zhuang Mingyan began to explain to Ji Yu the contents and key points of the Spirit Connecting Fire Seal. This Spirit Connecting Fire Seal requires you to sense the fire element between heaven and earth. An inferior grade 4th tier alchemy hand seal was no joke. Currently, the highest level alchemy hand seal on Ji Yu's body was the cyan light seal of the 2nd stage that she had obtained from Yu Shuyan. Therefore, he listened very seriously, not wanting to miss a single detail. After an unknown period of time, Ji Yu finally finished listening to all the contents of the Spirit Connection Xian Fire Seal. At the same time, the system notification sounded. Ding! Master has received the inheritance of the Spirit Channeling Mystical Fire Seal, increasing comprehension by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. You have successfully comprehended the inferior grade 4th tier alchemy hand seal, the Spirit Connection Mysterious Fire Seal. Initially, Ji Yu still did not understand a lot of things, but now she completely grasped them. You probably didn't understand it the first time, so this old man will repeat it a second time. Zhuang Mingyan said patiently. It did not matter how many times he repeated it. He would definitely repeat it until Ji Yu completely understood it. There's no need to trouble Elder. I more or less understand it. At this time, Ji said, Oh, you understand it? Zhuang Mingyan said doubtfully. Then this old man will test you to see if you understand it or not. Elder, please do as you wish. Ji Yu said casually. After a few minutes, Zhuang Mingyan was completely convinced. No matter how tricky his questions were, Ji Yu would always be able to answer them immediately without any mistakes. He could not help but be shocked by Ji Yu's terrifying talent again. But at the same time, he was glad that he managed to win over such a monster. No, it was not enough to describe her as a monster. She could be called a prodigy. A prodigy was above a monster. There could be many monsters in the entire Kanglan Empire's alchemy world, but there could only be one prodigy. In Zhuang Mingyan's heart, Ji Yu was that one and only prodigy. Suddenly, Zhuang Mingyan's face became very serious. Ji Yu, your alchemy talent is far beyond this old man's. This old man has no right to ask you to do anything. This old man only hopes that you can pass on this secret technique. The atmosphere was so heavy that Ji Yu fell silent. At this time, Zhuang Mingyan fell into a moment of hesitation, as if he was considering whether he should say something. Chapter 187. After hesitating for a while, he decided not to say it out loud. You can stay here or go back and learn this spirit-connecting mystical fire seal. It will be of great help to your future alchemy. Zhuang Mingyan's expression returned to normal. I understand. Ji Yu nodded. As for Elder Zhuang's request, he would do what he could. He could not guarantee that the inheritance would not be broken, but as long as he was alive, he would be able to continue the inheritance. After all, he had already learned the spirit-connecting mystical fire seal. After that, Ji Yu left. Zhuang Mingyan's expression was slightly relieved, but there was a hint of worry in his eyes. The reason why he said that the spirit-channeling profound fire seal was an inherited technique that no one other than him knew about was because he was the only one left in his family. Even he did not know why his family was destroyed overnight. At that time, he was still young and carrying out a mission outside. When he returned the next day, he found that everyone except him was dead. As the young master of the Zhuang family, he shouldered the heavy responsibility of reviving and passing down the inheritance. It was almost impossible for him to revive the family. The only thing he could do was to pass down the family's inheritance. After that, he came to the Kanglan Empire and joined the Qianyuan martial house, hoping to find a successor. However, after staying in the Qianyuan martial house for so many years, he could not find a suitable candidate. Just as he was about to give up, a young genius named Ji Yu appeared out of nowhere and gave him hope again. This was also why he was willing to pay any price to let Ji Yu accept the inheritance. Looking back on the past, Zhuang Mingyan sighed. Now that my wish has been fulfilled, it's time for me to find out the secret of my family's destruction. Zhuang Mingyan thought to himself. Even if it was very dangerous, he had to do it. Now that he had nothing to worry about, he no longer cared about life and death. In the next few days, other than practicing the Lone Peak 9 swords, Ji Yu also practiced the other mystic skills. As for the spirit-connecting mystical fire seal, he planned to leave it for last. After all, he was not in a hurry to improve his alchemy skills. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The mystic skill Lone Peak 9 swords has successfully broken through to the peak of perfection. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low profound rank profound skill, Limitless Finger, has successfully broken through to the peak of perfection realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low profound rank profound skill, Rushing Thunder Leg, has successfully broken through to the perfection of perfection realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The low profound rank profound skill, Blood Shadow Claw, has successfully broken through to the peak of perfection realm. In the past few days, Ji Yu had trained Lone Peak 9 swords, Limitless Finger, Rushing Thunder Leg, and Blood Shadow Claw to perfection. After that, Ji Yu began to cultivate the spirit connection mystical fire seal. He took out a pill furnace and a pile of pill refinement materials from his storage ring. These pill refinement materials were given to him by the elders from before. Ding! It has been detected that Master has begun to refine Grade 2 pills. The success rate of refining pills has increased by 999 times. The levels of these pill refining materials were not high, but it did not matter. In any case, he only wanted to raise the level of the spirit-channeling profound fire seal. Starting to refine pills, Ji Yu immediately activated the spirit connection Xian Fire Seal. Ding! Master has activated the Spirit Connection Xian Fire Seal. The experience gained from the Spirit Connection Xian Fire Seal, 1500 by 999 times. Jiyu felt the fire element between heaven and earth and resonated with it, causing the flames used to refine pills to no longer be ordinary. In just a few minutes, he had successfully concocted a superior Grade 2 pill. Ding! Master has refined a Grade 2 superior grade pill. The experience gained from alchemy attainments, 400 by 999 times. Chapter 188. In less than an hour, Jiyu had finished refining all the ingredients. Ding! Master has concocted a middle grade second grade medicinal pill. Experience gained in alchemy attainment, 300 by 999 times. Ding! Master has used Mystical Spirit Fire Seal. Mystical Spirit Fire Seal gained experience, 1500 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Alchemy attainment has successfully broken through to become a medium grade 4 alchemist. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Mystical Spirit Fire Seal has successfully broken through to the initial success realm. Originally, Jiyu's alchemy attainment was about to break through. This time, after casually refining a few pills, he naturally broke through to become a medium grade 4 alchemist. Not only that, he also cultivated the Mystical Spirit Fire Seal to the initial success realm. Speaking of which, during this period of time, Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin were cultivating with Master Moron, so they did not disturb Jiyu these days. Jiyu was also very comfortable and did what he was supposed to do. I still need to continue to raise the level of the Mystical Spirit Fire Seal, but I don't have any alchemy ingredients on me now, and I can't use gold coins in the martial house. Jiyu thought to himself, I need to think of a way to get more contribution points. With the contribution points I have now, I can't get much ingredients. Thinking of this, he decided to go to the Hall of Affairs to do missions. In the Hall of Affairs, other than dealing with the affairs of the Qianyuan martial house, the most important function was to issue missions. The students of the martial house could accept all kinds of missions there, and after completing the missions, they would receive corresponding rewards. Contribution points were one of the rewards. So, if he wanted to get contribution points, he naturally had to go to the Hall of Affairs. Ding! Master has taken a step. High-grade profound rank, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. Experience gained, 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master has taken a step. High-grade profound rank, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. Experience gained, 1 by 999 times. Not long after, Jiyu walked into the Hall of Affairs. When he walked into the Hall of Affairs, many people around him noticed him. Everyone was whispering, but Jiyu ignored them and walked straight to the front desk. There were several people from the martial house standing behind the reception desk. Among them, a middle-aged man was the first to realize that the young man in front of him was the recently famous genius Jiyu. He quickly asked respectfully, May I ask if young master wishes to issue a mission or accept a mission? Accept the mission, Jiyu said calmly. All right, then what kind of mission does Gongzi want to accept? The middle-aged man asked respectfully. Jiyu thought for a moment and said, Top-level mission. There were a total of 4 types of quests that could be accepted in the Hall of Affairs. Low-level quests, intermediate-level quests, high-level quests, and top-level quests. The low-level tasks were usually some chores in the Qianyuan martial house. The reward was not high, but the tasks were easy. It was suitable for the handyman students of the Qianyuan martial house. Middle-level missions were more difficult than low-level missions, but they weren't that dangerous and the rewards weren't that high either. Usually, only the official disciples of the outer house would do them. High-level missions, as the name suggested, were very difficult and dangerous. Naturally, the rewards were high as well. Basically, only the disciples of the inner house dared to accept them. Top-level missions were also the highest-level missions. They were not at the same level as high-level missions at all. The degree of danger was extremely high. Often, the disciples of the inner house would be injured or even killed during the missions. Even the core disciples didn't dare to accept top-level missions alone. Basically, they would form a team to complete the missions. As for the rewards, it was naturally ridiculously high. Needless to say that. As soon as Giyu's voice came out, almost everyone around was amazed. Only a monster like Giyu would have the guts to accept a top-grade mission on his own. Although the middle-aged man at the reception desk knew that Giyu was very powerful, he was still very surprised. Top-level missions were not a joke. In his impression, even the former top of the Qinyuan list, Qi Linger, didn't dare to accept such a difficult mission, let alone complete it alone. After being stunned for a while, the middle-aged man didn't dare to neglect Giyu because he was afraid that he would offend her. He quickly came back to his senses and said, "These are the only 3 top-level missions. Please take a look, Gongzi." After saying that, the middle-aged man took out 3 red tokens. His eyes were full of expectation. Throughout the history of the Qinyuan martial house, no one had been able to complete top-level missions alone. Could this young genius in front of him become the first person in history? Chapter 189. The color represented the difficulty of the mission. A green token represented a low-level mission. A blue token represented a mid-level mission. A purple token represented a high-level mission. And a red token represented a top-level mission. As for the 3 red tokens in front of Giyu, they were naturally top-grade missions. The middle-aged man suddenly thought of something and reminded him, "Gongzi, you have to infuse your spiritual energy into the token to see the information." Okay, Giyu nodded. If the middle-aged man did not tell him, he would not know how to use the token. Following the middle-aged man's instructions, Giyu infused his spiritual energy into the red token. Ding! Master has infused his spiritual energy. Bronze-level spiritual energy. Obtained experience. 1 by 999 times. In the next moment, the first red token's information appeared before him. Mission: find the 6th prince of the imperial family. Location: within the Kanglin Empire. Reward: 20,000 contribution points. Superior grade 3 artifact, silver silk armor. Find the 6th prince of the imperial family? Or search the entire Kanglin Empire. How the hell was he going to find him? Ji suddenly felt a little confused. The Kanglin Empire's territory was not small. He did not know how long it would take to explore it, let alone find one person among the tens of millions of people in the Kanglin Empire. Although it was not very dangerous, the difficulty was ridiculously high. However, the difficulty of the mission aside, the reward was really brutal. That was a total of 20,000 contribution points. Giyu only had a few hundred to 1,000 contribution points, which were given to him by the elders. Simply put, the 20,000 contribution points were enough to exchange for 4 or 5 superior grade mystic class manuals in the scripture depository. The superior grade 3 artifact, silver silk armor, was also very expensive. It could withstand the full force of a martial artist who had just entered the first level of the Tongshin realm. Giyu put the mission token aside and looked at the other 2 missions. Ding! Master has infused his spiritual energy. Bronze-level spiritual energy. Obtained experience. 1 by 999 times. Mission: kill the 2nd level 8 demonic beast, Green Spider Empress. Location: within the demonic beast mountain range. Reward: 18,000 contribution points and the inferior grade 3 artifact, the Cold Edge Sword. The reward for this top-level mission was obviously not as good as the previous one. It was clear at a glance. Giyu had a certain understanding of the Green Spider Empress. After all, he was familiar with the demonic beast mountain range. Back then, he had learned about most of the demonic beasts in the demonic beast mountain range through books. The Green Spider Queen was a powerful demonic beast that only lived in the deep forests of the demonic beast mountain range. Furthermore, their reproductive ability was extremely strong, and they would have tens of thousands of little green spiders by their side. The little green spiders were basically all demonic beasts of first-rank 5th tier and above. Although their levels were not high, their numbers were terrifying, especially when tens of thousands of little green spiders were attacking at the same time. Even a cultivator above the 5th level of the defensive profound realm would find it difficult to handle, not to mention that there was a powerful green spider queen in the dark. The danger level was extremely high. Even a martial cultivator at the 9th level of the defensive profound realm could lose his life. However, G thought that it was not because the reward for the green spider queen was too low, but because the reward for the 6th prince was too high. After all, the 6th prince was a member of the royal family. His status was extremely high, and the difficulty of finding him was also very high. It was not surprising that the reward would be so high. Thinking up to this point, Jiyu placed this mission token aside and proceeded to check the 3rd one, which was also the final mission token. Ding! Master has activated his spirit power. Bronze spirit power. Experience gained. 1 by 999 times. Mission. Eliminate the bandits and retrieve the head of the bandit leader, Zhao Beishan, 9th level of the defensive profound realm martial artist. Location. Surroundings of the wind, snow, ancient city. Reward. 15,000 contribution points, 10 third lower rank pills, recovery sultans. The difficulty of this mission was not low, and the reward was only fair. After looking at the information of the 3 top-level missions, Jiyu began to choose. The middle-aged man was not in a hurry. He patiently waited for the young master in front of him to give his answer. Just when Jiyu thought that it would be better to choose to kill the green spider queen, he suddenly thought of something. Why did he have to choose? Couldn't he take all of them? Jiyu immediately asked, "Can I accept all 3 top-level missions at the same time?" Chapter 190. An indifferent voice caused a huge commotion. F*CK. Did I hear wrongly? Jiyu actually wants to accept 3 top-notch missions at once? Is he crazy? This is unheard of. I have never heard of anyone accepting more than 1 top-notch mission at once. In the past, only a few core disciples on the Qian Yuan list would dare to accept 1 top-notch mission. With his terrifying talent and strength, he might be able to complete 1 top-notch mission. However, isn't it too arrogant to accept 3 top-notch missions at the same time? Apart from the other disciples, the middle-aged man at the front desk was even more shocked. He was completely dumbfounded. The young man in front of him actually wanted to accept 3 top-notch missions at once. This was something he never expected. Cough, cough. Jiyu seemed to be a little impatient as he coughed lightly to remind the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man immediately came back to his senses. He thought for a while and replied, Young master, I need to ask the elder's opinion first. Please wait for a moment." After finishing his words, the middle-aged man immediately ran inside. Jiyu's expression didn't change as he waited quietly. He thought that he would have to wait for a while, but the middle-aged man ran out again very quickly. "The elder doesn't have any opinion. Young master, you can accept the missions as you wish." The middle-aged man ran out and said while panting, "Then I'll take all 3 top-notch missions." Jiyu said calmly, "Okay, then I'll do it for you immediately. Young master, you can leave now." The middle-aged man said politely. Jiyu nodded slightly as he grabbed the 3 red tokens and left the Hall of Affairs. Ding! Master has taken a step forward. The experience gained from the high-grade mystic skill, 1,000 Illusions Myriad Flashes, 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master has taken a step forward. The experience gained from the high-grade mystic skill, 1,000 Illusions Myriad Flashes, 1 by 999 times. However, Jiyu didn't directly leave the Qian Yuan Martial Mansion. Instead, he went to the Violet Gold Hall to look for Mansion Master Morone. According to the requirements of the 3 red tokens, he was afraid that he would have to leave the Qian Yuan Martial House for a long period of time. He would have to inform the Morone family head first before leaving the Qian Yuan Martial House. Furthermore, Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin were also with Murong Manor head. He could also explain to them. 10 minutes later, Jiyu arrived at the Violet Gold Hall. When they entered the Violet Golden Hall, they saw that Murong Manor Master was teaching Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin martial arts. At this time, the less serious Jiang Yuexin noticed Ji Yu walking in. She immediately stopped practicing and called out to Ji Yu, "Ji Yu, why are you here?" In this regard, Murong Zili didn't say anything. However, this didn't mean that she was so kind to all the students. It was purely because of Ji Yu that she was so indulgent towards the two sisters. "I'm preparing to go on a long trip, so I came to tell you," Ji Yu said very straightforwardly. "Go on a long trip? Where are you going?" Jiang Yuexin immediately asked. Murong Zili and Jiang Yuechu were also very concerned. "I accepted 3 top-notch missions, so I'll be going out for a long time." Ji Yu didn't conceal anything and said, "Top-notch missions, what are those?" Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin didn't know about missions, nor did they know what top-notch missions represented. Only Murong Zili's purple eyes gradually became dignified. She naturally knew what top-notch missions meant. Moreover, it was 3 top-notch missions at the same time. Originally, Ji Yu was going to explain this to Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin. After all, he had promised the two sisters that he wouldn't conceal anything unless there was no other choice. But this time, Murong Zili suddenly spoke. "Are you really sure you can complete those 3 top-notch missions?" Murong Zili asked. "I'm not very sure about that whatever 6th prince, but there's absolutely no possibility of failure for the other 2 top-notch missions." Ji Yu said very confidently. With his current strength, he had the qualifications to be confident. So what if the difficulty and danger of that whatever Green Spider Queen and Bandit elimination were high? He was basically invincible under the profound comprehension realm. As for the mission to find the 6th prince, he really wasn't sure. This kind of mission couldn't be solved by relying on strength, unless he really had heaven-defying strength. Perhaps his cultivation needed to reach the spirit profound realm or above to be possible. Chapter 191. Currently, Ji Yu is at the peak of the 7th level of the defensive profound realm. Above the defensive profound realm was the Tongxian realm, and above that was the spirit profound realm. There were even higher realms above the spirit profound realm, but he wasn't sure. He knew that it was impossible for him to reach the spirit profound realm in a short period of time, so it was better to just think about it. However, it was only a matter of time. From the time Ji Yu obtained the 999 times cultivation system until now, it had only been a little more than a month. He directly jumped from the 3rd level of the body tempering realm to the peak of the 7th level of the defensive profound realm. His true strength was unrivaled in the defensive profound realm. Moreover, he had a trash physique. If it was someone with a trash physique, they wouldn't be able to reach the defensive profound realm in their entire lifetime, let alone reach his level. He believed that he would be able to break through to the Tongxian realm in less than half a month. At that time, he would have enough strength to return to Chaiyang Ancient City. Without anyone's help, he would personally kill his enemies. As for the spirit profound realm, or even higher realms, it was only a matter of time. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Ji Yu had merely picked up the mission to find the 6th prince in passing. What if he accidentally found the 6th prince somewhere? Who could predict this kind of thing? Anything could happen. Ji Yu definitely wouldn't let go of this kind of opportunity. Even if he failed the mission, it didn't matter. It didn't affect him in the slightest. It's good that you have that kind of confidence. This manor head won't interfere too much. Murong Zili seemed to trust Ji Yu a lot, and the faint worry in her eyes lessened a bit. Then, she continued, "This manor head will explain to them what a top-grade mission is. You shouldn't delay, so you should set off first." Them. Murong Zili spoke was naturally Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin. "Okay, then I'll have to trouble manor head." After speaking, Ji Yu calmly left. It wasn't until Ji Yu had completely left the Violet Gold Palace that Murong Zili said to Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin, "The difficulty of the top-level mission isn't that high. There's no risk at all for him, so you guys can be at ease." She was obviously trying to fool the two sisters, Jiang Yuechu and Jiang Yuexin. But if the two sisters knew what the 3 top-level missions were, they would definitely stop Jiyu. Even if they couldn't stop Jiyu, they would still be worried. Therefore, she simply tricked the two sisters and allowed Jiyu to carry out the mission without any worries. No matter how talented a genius was, they still had to go through tempering before they could unleash their potential. As long as Jiyu's life was not in danger, she was naturally willing to see Jiyu go out and train. Ding! Master took a step forward. Experience gained from the profound, rank upper class, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master took a step forward. Experience gained from the profound, rank upper class, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. 1 by 999 times. At this moment, Jiyu had already walked out of the Qianyuan martial house and was on the streets of King City. On the streets, he found that the portrait of the sixth prince could be seen everywhere. Almost the entire city had issued a search warrant. Taking a closer look, this portrait was of a very delicate and handsome young man. Looking at this portrait, Jiyu immediately sighed with emotion. He had lived long enough to see this. This was the first time he had seen such a delicate man in his 2 lives. But fortunately, he was straight and didn't have any strange thoughts. The handsome young man in this portrait, that is, the sixth prince's appearance, was deeply engraved in his mind. After that, Jiyu continued on his way. The first stop he was going to was the Snow-Wind Ancient City to complete the mission of eliminating bandits. Because the Snow-Wind Ancient City was not far from King City, at least it was closer than the distance between King City and the Demon Beast Mountain Range. Chapter 192. Along the way, Jiyu was constantly observing the physique and appearance of the people around him. Once he found someone who looked like the sixth prince, he would immediately take action and catch him while injuring him. However, until he arrived at the port of the spirit ship, he still did not find any trace of the sixth prince. However, the task of finding the sixth prince was just a side task for Jiyu. He could not go all the way to King City just for this. After he bought a premium ticket, he immediately boarded the spirit ship. By the time Jiyu found his room, the spirit ship had just set off. During this time, he did not idle around. He had not used those second-grade elixirs that he had refined not long ago. This time, they could come in handy. Ding! Master has consumed a superior second-grade elixir. Martial arts cultivation experience gained. 10,000 asterisk 999 times. Ding! Master has consumed a medium second-grade elixir. Martial arts cultivation experience gained. 7,000 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation has successfully broken through to the early stage of the 8th level of the defensive profound realm. Although there were not many second-grade elixirs and experience gained, Jiyu's cultivation was at the peak of the 7th level of the defensive profound realm. Moreover, it was almost saturated, so it was naturally very easy for him to break through. After consuming all the second-grade elixirs, Jiyu began to cultivate his qi. Ding! Master has cultivated martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience gained. 20 by 999 times. Ding! Master has cultivated martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation experience gained. 20 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation has successfully broken through to the middle stage of the 8th level of the defensive profound realm. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation has successfully broken through to the late stage of the 8th level of the defensive profound realm. The quality of the qi in the superior room was higher, so Jiyu's cultivation speed was faster. About 2 or 3 days later, Jiyu's cultivation had directly reached the late stage of the 8th level of the defensive profound realm. In this way, except for finding the sixth prince, there was no possibility of failure at all. And at most an hour, the spirit ship would arrive at the Wind-Snow Ancient City. At this time, Jiyu did not intend to continue cultivating her Xian-Qi. Instead, she wanted to take a walk outside the room. Because the spirit ship was about to arrive at its destination, Ji-yu is not the only one walking around outside. Many people were walking around. Walking out of the room, Ji-yu casually walked around the spirit ship. Ding! Master took a step forward. Experience gained from the profound rank upper class, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master took a step forward. Experience gained from the profound rank upper class, profound skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash. 1 by 999 times. Just as Ji-yu was about to return to her room, she suddenly discovered a person wrapped in a black robe sneaking around outside her room. At the same time, he remembered that he had forgotten to lock the door. Although there was only a cyan vein sword inside, he would not be happy if it was stolen. Ji-yu immediately used her movement technique and grabbed the black robe man's hand. Ding! Master used 1,000 illusions myriad flash. Experience gained from 1,000 illusions myriad flash. 400 by 999 times. The moment he grabbed the black robe man's wrist, he suddenly felt that the wrist was thin and soft. It was very much like a girl's wrist. Who are you? The black-robed man seemed to be frightened. Her tone was slightly flustered. Are you a thief? Ji did not answer the other party's question. Instead, she directly asked, I'm not a thief. I just happened to pass by here. Please let me go. The black-robed man unexpectedly calmed down so quickly. His tone was neither male nor female. To put it bluntly, it was a neutral voice. She did not know if the black-robed man deliberately made such a voice. You're not a thief. Ji immediately opened the door to confirm. Inside, she found that the cyan vein sword was indeed lying on the bed, unharmed. She immediately let go of the black-robed man's wrist. The black-robed man did not flee in panic. Instead, she calmly walked forward. Seeing this, Ji did not think too much. She thought that the other party was just an ordinary person who did not like to reveal their true appearance. Chapter 193. About half an hour later, the spirit ship reached the shore. This also meant that Ji had arrived at the Snow Wind Ancient City. Because the spirit ship directly arrived at the Snow Wind Ancient City, Ji still had to run a long way to reach the outside of the Snow Wind Ancient City. He was still observing the pedestrians around him as he walked, but he found that the black-robed man on the previous ship was secretly following him. He didn't care about the previous things, but this time he was even followed. How could he not care? Ji walked into a small alley with a flat face, pretending that nothing had happened. The black-robed man immediately chased after him. This was a deserted alley, so Ji naturally had other intentions to come here. Not long after the black-robed man followed him, Ji slowly stopped. At the last moment when his toes touched the ground, his figure disappeared like a ghost and appeared in front of the black-robed man in an instant. Ding! Master used 1,000 illusions myriad flash. 1,000 illusions myriad flash obtained experience value. 400 by 999 times. Ji's sudden move made the black-robed man tremble slightly. The black-robed man subconsciously turned around and ran, but Ji grabbed his wrist in the same way as before. Ji didn't talk nonsense this time, and directly reached out and pulled off the black robe on the other party's head. The next moment, a very ordinary face appeared in front of him. Sure enough, as Ji expected, the one hiding under the black robe was a woman. This was a young woman with an ordinary appearance, and she seemed to be slightly older than Ji. To put it bluntly, a lot of women with this appearance could be found on the street. However, this made Ji even more curious. Why did such an ordinary woman, who seemed to be quite weak and timid, follow him? Why are you following me? Ji asked coldly. My name is Suya. The woman said timidly, my younger brother and sister were taken away. Your younger brother and sister? Ji was a little confused when he heard this. They were not his younger siblings, so what do they have to do with him? I've heard that you're that amazing genius Ji. I beg you, please save my younger brother and younger sister. They've been captured by the bandits outside. As their elder sister, I can't do anything. Ooh. The woman sat paralyzed on the ground, her hands tugging at the corner of Ji's clothes as she cried and begged. Ji was speechless at first, but when he heard the last word bandits, he couldn't help but ask, "Are you referring to the bandits outside the blizzard ancient city?" "That's right. There's only a group of bandits outside the city," the woman said weakly. "If it's really them, I can help you. However, I can't guarantee whether your siblings are dead or alive," Ji said calmly. Although he wasn't a bad person, he wasn't a good person either. It was impossible for him to help everyone. This time, it just so happened that he was going to eliminate those bandits, so he could help her along the way. Moreover, seeing this woman so weak and helpless, he couldn't bear to see her like this. "Young master, this little girl is very grateful for your kindness," the woman said excitedly. "You don't need to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank you good luck," Ji said casually. The woman continued to thank Ji endlessly. Ji was a little impatient. He immediately walked towards the exit of the alley. "Young master, can you keep this little girl by your side?" At this time, the woman suddenly asked. "Up to you, but I don't care whether you live or die." Ji didn't turn around and only left this sentence. He didn't care whether this woman followed him or not. In any case, he wouldn't care whether she lived or died, so she wouldn't be a burden to him. Ji wasn't worried that this woman would play any tricks. He had long found out that this woman's cultivation was lower than his, and her strength was suppressed by him. She couldn't pose the slightest threat to him. The woman immediately put on a black robe on her head and caught up with Ji, following behind Ji. However, Ji didn't notice that the moment the woman put on the black robe, the corners of her mouth slightly raised. Chapter 194. At this moment, Ji was leisurely walking on the street. After all, he still had to observe the appearance of the people around him, so he couldn't walk too fast. And that delicate woman just followed behind him, not saying a single word from beginning to end. Ji also treated the woman as air, only minding his own business. But at this moment, a gurgling sound came from behind him. What was that sound? Ji was only puzzled for a moment, but he didn't take it to heart. But not long after, another series of gulu-gulu sounds were heard. This time he knew that it was coming from the woman's stomach. "Your stomach is hungry, right?" Ji suddenly stopped and turned around to ask the woman. "Yes, yes," the woman said softly, "but I'm fine. Young master doesn't need to mind me." Ji looked at the woman in silence for a moment. He didn't eat a normal meal this time, just some dry food, just enough to solve the problem of food and clothing. "Let's go. I'll bring you to eat something." Ji put his hands behind his head and continued to walk forward. The woman was stunned for a moment, her slightly lowered head also raised, as if she was surprised by Ji's actions. Then she immediately followed him. "Ding! Master has taken a step. Profound rank upper class 1,000 illusions myriad flash experience gained. 1 by 999 times. Ding! Master has taken a step. Profound rank upper class 1,000 illusions myriad flash experience gained. 1 by 999 times." Ji brought the woman to a restaurant, casually ordered a few dishes, and found a seat to sit down. "Young master, you are very kind." Just as Ji was quietly waiting for the food to be served, the woman sitting opposite him suddenly opened her mouth. Ji was silent for a moment, then said, "Did you get something wrong? I am not the so-called kind person." "No." The woman slowly shook her head. "This little girl can see that young master is a very kind person. You can think whatever you want. Hurry up and finish eating and leave." Ji couldn't be bothered to continue the conversation and directly cut off the topic. The woman didn't say anything else. She just stared at Ji. 10 to 20 minutes later, the two finished their meal and continued on their journey. After an unknown amount of time, Ji finally walked out of the city gate. "Are you sure you want to continue following me?" "Here," he asked the woman. "Yes." The woman nodded. Ji didn't say anything else and continued forward. The bandits that the mission required to eliminate were not easily encountered outside the city gates. Outside the gate of the snow-wind ancient city, there was a piece of barren land. On both sides of the barren land were rugged mountains. As for the bandits, they lived in the rugged mountainous areas and would often rob the carriages that passed by. Of course, The bandits didn't dare to touch the people of the major powers in Snow-Wind Ancient City. They only dared to attack the relatively weak powers and families. Because of this, they aroused the anger of many small powers and families in Snow-Wind Ancient City. But it was unknown whether it was because of the powerful background behind the bandits. Many powers in Snow-Wind Ancient City didn't dare to personally take action. Instead, they specially issued a mission to the 3 Great Cultivation Holy Lands, hoping that the geniuses of the 3 Great Cultivation Holy Lands would help them get rid of the bandits. This was the origin of the mission, and Gu was the only one among the 3 Great Cultivation Holy Lands who accepted this mission. Gu didn't intend to wait for the bandits to come to him. That would be a waste of time. Instead, he took the initiative to look for the bandits. This way, he could complete the mission efficiently and quickly. Maybe it was because the bandits outside Snow-Wind Ancient City were living too freely. In less than half an hour, Gu found the camp of the bandits. Moreover, the tents were large and numerous. The entire camp was very large and looked very conspicuous. TSK, TSK, TSK. These bandits are really living a comfortable life. They don't even have the slightest awareness of being on guard. It's time to teach these people a lesson. Gu looked at the camp of the bandits and rubbed his palms. His eyes flickered slightly. Chapter 195. There wasn't a single guard in the bandit camp. Everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves in their own tents. At this moment, a bandit's underling walked out of one of the tents and was relieving himself. Gu's eyes moved, and his figure flickered as he charged towards the underling. Ding! Master used 1,000 Illusions Myriad Flash. 1,000 Illusions Myriad Flash gained experience. 400 by 999 times. Ding! Master used a punch. Mystic Middle Class Fist suppressing all directions gained experience. 1 by 999 times. Maybe it was because the underling's cultivation was too low, or maybe it was because he didn't have the slightest bit of vigilance, but he didn't even know how he died. After easily dealing with this small fry, Gu barged into the nearest tent without a care in the world. At the same time, the black-robed woman stood in the same spot without moving, silently watching Gu charge into the bandit camp. In the tent, more than 10 bandits were gathered together, seemingly having fun there. Until Gu was already standing behind them, they suddenly realized that someone had barged in. "Who are you, brat?" Gu remained silent, his indifferent eyes looking at these bandits, as if he was looking at a dead person. He slowly stretched out his fist, seemingly without any sign of attacking. This baffling action made the bandits confused. What was this brat trying to do? "Brat, you dare to barge in here without permission. Just wait for this young master to make your head explode." One of the more ferocious-looking bandits licked the big knife in his hand and walked towards the young man in front of him with a fierce expression. However, Gu's expression didn't change at all. At this moment, he silently chanted in his heart. Fist suppressing all directions. Ding! Master used fist suppressing all directions. Fist suppressing all directions gained experience. 300 by 999 times. In an instant, a shocking aura burst out from Gu's outstretched fist and swept through the entire tent. This aura was like countless invisible sharp blades, cutting all the bandits in the tent into pieces. The originally exquisite and intact tent also exploded at this moment, turning into pieces of cloth that fluttered in the air. Gu looked at the scene with a cold expression. There was no trace of pity in his eyes. These bandits just now had committed all sorts of crimes. None of them were innocent. Their hands were stained with the lives of many people, and they had even humiliated countless young girls and women. In Gu's eyes, these people deserved to die. The commotion caused by Gu was very big, and it instantly attracted the attention of all the bandits in the camp. However, this was exactly what he wanted. What he wanted was for these bandits to come together and get rid of them all in one go. At this moment, in the largest tent in the campsite. Inside the tent, A middle-aged man with a scar on his face was sitting on a throne and enjoying a delicious meal. He had noticed the commotion just now, but he didn't seem to take it to heart. At this time, a short and agile man rushed in and knelt before the scarred man. Reporting to the leader, someone broke into our camp and killed many of our brothers. Don't panic. The deputy chief will take care of it, the scarred man said indifferently. After saying that, he continued to eat leisurely. Yes, the short man immediately retreated. At this time, there were already hundreds of bandits surrounding GU. Among them, the strongest was a 7th-level defensive profound realm bandit, and the rest were small fries around the 1st or 2nd level of the defensive profound realm. Not to mention these small fries, even the 7th-level defensive profound realm bandit was not in GU's eyes. The group of bandits kept making a ruckus, but GU treated them like a pack of dogs barking. Almost all of you are here, right? At this time, GU suddenly spoke. The leader of the robbers, who was at the 7th level of the defensive profound realm, frowned slightly. What do you mean by this? It seems that Zhao Beishan is still missing. Tell him to get out here. GU glanced at the bandits and said indifferently. He remembered that the bandit leader Zhao Beishan's cultivation level was 9th level defensive profound realm. It was obvious that this 7th level defensive profound realm bandit was not Zhao Beishan and should be the deputy chief of this group of bandits. Hearing this, the deputy chief's face turned cold. Kid, do you know what you were saying? Forget it, I'll just kill you all first. Chapter 196. As soon as he finished speaking, GU used fist suppressing all directions again. Ding. Master has used fist suppressing all directions. Fist suppressing all directions gained experience. 300 *999x. Ding. Congratulations, Master. Medium Mystic rank fist suppressing all directions has successfully broken through to perfection. Hundreds of bandits surrounded GU and were very close to him. These bandits were all within the killing range of his fist-suppressing all directions. The result was obvious. All of the weak bandits were killed by the invisible blade, leaving only the deputy leader alive, but he was not in a good state, covered in blood. At this moment, the deputy leader was frozen in place, unable to believe what had just happened. Hundreds of his subordinates were killed by this young man in the blink of an eye. GU was not surprised that the deputy leader was still alive. After all, his fist suppressing all directions was a fist technique with an area of effect, so it was not very effective against a single enemy. The other party was a defensive profound realm level 7 and had experienced many bloody battles. He was completely different from those so-called geniuses who grew up in the cradle of power, so it was not strange that he was not killed by one punch. Don't worry, you will be able to meet them soon. GU smiled faintly. Ding. Master has used 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash. 1000 Illusions Myriad Flash gained experience. 400 *999x. Before the deputy leader could react, he had already arrived in front of him. He grabbed the other party's neck with one hand and lifted him up. Under the other party's terrified gaze, GU exerted a little force and twisted his wrist. Crack! The deputy leader's neck tilted and he stopped breathing. GU casually threw the other party's body on the ground, as if he was throwing away trash. After that, GU's gaze landed on the largest tent not far away. If he was not wrong, the bandit leader Zhao Beishan should be in there. He did not know if there were any surviving bandits in this camp, but he did not care because the leader Zhao Beishan was his main target. Even if there were surviving bandits, he could clean them up at any time. Unless one was a Tongxian realm expert, no one would be able to escape from his grasp. Zhao Beishan, get the hell out here, GU shouted coldly. Soon, a burly figure walked out of the huge tent. This person was none other than Zhao Beishan. When he saw the miserable state in front of him, he was shocked at first, then he was enraged. However, he didn't dare to act rashly because he knew that this seemingly harmless young man was actually very terrifying. Who are you? Why did you kill my brothers? Zhao Beishan forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a low voice, I'm here to kill you. GU nodded. Before he finished speaking, his figure disappeared and reappeared in front of Zhao Beishan. Ding! Master has used Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash experience gained. 400 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. The Mystic Class High-Grade Mystic Skill, Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash, has successfully broken through to the Mastery stage. However, Zhao Beishan's cultivation was not low, and he was very experienced. He reacted in time and immediately punched at Jiyu. This time, Jiyu did not go easy on him and took out the blue streak sword. Ding! Master has used the half-step sword intent. 30% half-step sword intent experience gained. 30 by 999 times. This move was not just the lone peak of 9 swords, but also the half-step sword intent. Because Jiyu had already mastered the lone peak of 9 swords, it would not receive any more experience from the system. Chapter 197. In an instant, Jiyu slashed out 9 times in a row. Each slash was as vicious as a lone peak. At this time, Zhao Beishan was already badly mutilated, and one could only see the despair in his eyes. Although Zhao Beishan still had a breath left in him, Jiyu did not continue to attack. This was because he did not think that Zhao Beishan could survive. Without even looking at Zhao Beishan, Jiyu turned around and left. Ding! Master has used Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash. Thousand Illusions Myriad Flash gained experience. 400 by 999 times. Ding! Master has used Fist Suppressing All Directions. Fist Suppressing All Directions gained experience. 300 by 999 times. Jiyu used his movement skill to circle around the bandit camp. He found a few bandits hiding, and they were all taken care of by him. Next, he found a tent in the cellar, and found many women imprisoned here. There were all kinds of women, from young girls to women, and they were all dressed in rags. When they saw Jiyu come in, they all huddled together and trembled, looking at Jiyu with fear in their eyes. Jiyu glanced at these people and found that they were all women. There was not a single man. Obviously, the captured men were all killed by the bandits, and the women were left here as some kind of unspeakable slave. Since there were no men, it meant that the black-robed woman's brother was also gone. Jiyu sighed softly in his heart, and then said to the women in front of him in a gentle voice, "Those bandits who harmed you are all dead. That means you are all safe." When the women heard this, they were all skeptical. This was because they could not believe that this seemingly weak youth in front of them could kill those vicious bandits. But at this time, a courageous young girl stood up and walked out from the corner. It could be seen that her scarred legs were trembling slightly. It was obvious that she was still afraid of this strange youth in front of her, but she still walked over without flinching. Some women wanted to persuade her and pull her back, but she rejected them all. Jiyu looked at the young girl indifferently. The determination in her eyes made him feel like he was looking at himself in the past. The girl gritted her teeth and carefully walked past Jiyu. Jiyu didn't move at all. When the girl reached the stairs, she finally let out a sigh of relief. However, she didn't leave immediately. Instead, she turned around and whispered a thank you to Jiyu before walking out of the exit. Seeing that the strange young man didn't hurt the young girl, the girls behind him immediately ran madly towards the exit. Jiyu didn't feel anything about this at all. After all, these women had suffered unimaginable abuse in such a place, so it was inevitable that they would become like this. It wasn't until all the women who were in prison here had escaped that he finally moved. He first used Fist Suppressing All Sides to destroy the cellar before leaving. Ding! Master has used Suppressing All Sides. Suppressing All Sides experience gained. 300 * 999x. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Middle-level profound skill Suppressing All Sides has successfully broken through to the Greater Perfection realm. Ding! Master Suppressing All Sides has reached the Great Perfection realm, automatically upgraded to the high-level profound skill Fist Shattering Mountains and Rivers. With this punch, Jiyu's fist technique had broken through to the great perfection realm and upgraded to the high-level profound skill. Walking out of the bandit camp, he found that the black-robed woman was still standing there. "Aren't you going to see your little brother, sister?" Chapter 198. Hearing Jiyu's words, the black-robed woman said, "No need. I just looked, my brother and sister are not here." The black-robed woman's sad tone made Jiyu fall into silence. "Then I'm leaving. You can do as you see fit." With that, Jiyu returned in the direction of Snow Wind Ancient City. The black-robed woman did not make a sound, but quietly watched Jiyu leave, until Jiyu completely disappeared in the end. Suddenly, she let out a bell-like laugh. Hee, as expected of a young genius. "Really a feast for my eyes. Ding. Master has taken a step. Profound rank, superior mystic skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash, gained experience. 1 by 999 times. Ding. Master has taken a step. Profound rank, superior mystic skill, 1,000 illusions, myriad flash, gained experience. 1 by 999 times." At this time, Jiu had already returned to Snow Wind Ancient City. He did not need to worry about the black-robed woman's safety, because there was no other danger outside Snow Wind Ancient City except for the bandit group. It was already late. Jiu casually found a hotel, planning to stay here for the night, and leave for Demon Beast Mountain Range tomorrow. Now that the mission of eliminating the bandits and killing Zhao Beishan's head had been completed, Zhao Beishan's head was lying in his storage ring, and the next step was to go to Demon Beast Mountain Range to hunt the Green Spider Empress. As for the mission of finding the sixth prince, he felt that there was no chance. It didn't matter if it was completed or not. It was just a side trip anyway. Ji was now in a hotel room, practicing martial arts. Ding. Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience. 10 by 999 times. Ding. Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience. 10 by 999 times. After one night, although Ji had gained a lot of cultivation experience, he was still a little short of breaking through to the peak of the 8th level of the defensive profound realm. The next morning, after he woke up and ate breakfast, he was ready to take the spirit ship. But halfway through, he met the black-robed woman from yesterday again, and the black-robed woman followed him closely. "Why are you following me again?" Ji couldn't help but ask. "Although young master has avenged my daughter, I have nowhere to go now. I can only follow young master. Perhaps I can still repay your kindness." The woman said, "There's no need to repay me. I was just helping you." Ji said. However, the black-robed woman did not seem to hear Jiu's words at all and continued to follow Jiu closely. Jiu, on the other hand, was at a loss for words. He might as well ignore the other party. He couldn't possibly use violence to chase the other party away. Could he? He bought a high-class ticket and boarded the spirit ship. The black-robed woman also seemed to have bought a high-class ticket. Beishan couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. Where did such an ordinary woman get so much money to run around? This woman first came from the royal city to the Snow Wind Ancient City, and now followed him from here to the Bright Moon Ancient City, and she even bought a high-class ticket. The price of a high-class ticket was not cheap, and ordinary families couldn't afford it. The Bright Moon Ancient City was Jiu's next destination. The shortest way from the Snow Wind Ancient City to the Demon Beast Mountain Range was through the Bright Moon Ancient City. After entering the high-class room, Jiu continued to practice martial arts until the spirit ship arrived at the Bright Moon Ancient City. Ding! Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience. 10 by 999 times. Ding! Master has practiced martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience. 10 by 999 times. Ding! Congratulations, Master. Martial arts cultivation has successfully broken through to the 8th level of the defensive profound realm. Chapter 199. By the time the spirit ship arrived at the Bright Moon Ancient City, Jiyu's martial arts cultivation had also broken through to the ninth layer of the defensive profound realm. After getting off the spirit ship, he called a carriage and headed to the monster beast mountain range. Even at this time, the black-robed woman still followed him and even entered the carriage without asking for an explanation. What exactly is your purpose? Jiyu is speechless to this woman. This little girl has no one to rely on now. I only know you, young master. Please allow this little girl to follow you. The woman took off her black robe and lowered her head to plead. I remember your name is Suya, right? I'm going to the monster beast mountain range now. Do you want to follow me to your death? Jiyu said helplessly, why don't I find a place to stop later and help you find a place to live first? He really didn't want this black-robed woman to follow him all the time. He couldn't let this black-robed woman follow him all the way to the Qianyuan martial house, right? Suya shook her head and said, regardless of life or death, this little girl only wants to follow young master. Jiyu suddenly fell into silence, but he didn't feel moved. Instead, he became more and more suspicious of this woman. Although on the surface there was nothing wrong with this woman, he always felt that this woman was strange. At the next moment, he suddenly thought of something and stared at Suya's face closely. Suya didn't seem to understand why Jiyu was staring at her like this. She looked at Jiyu with a puzzled look. All of a sudden, Jiyu reached out a hand to touch her face. Suddenly feeling her face being touched like this, she couldn't help but blush slightly. However, Jiyu just touched it slightly and withdrew his hand. But the next moment, he suddenly smiled. Why don't you treat people with your real face? What does young master mean? Suya asked with a puzzled look. Don't pretend. I know your current face is fake. Jiyu smiled and said, because I also have a mask on your face. While speaking, he took out a mask from his storage ring. This mask was given to him by Jiang Yuexin when he was in the city lord's mansion. He had kept it in his storage ring ever since the entrance exam ended. If he hadn't suddenly thought of this mask, he wouldn't have suspected that Suya had changed her true appearance. When he touched Suya's face just now, he felt that Suya should be wearing the same mask to change her real appearance. Now that she had been completely exposed, Suya no longer pretended to be innocent. As expected of young Master Jiyu, I didn't expect you to see through me so quickly. She simply tore off the mask on her face, revealing an almost flawless face. Her facial features were perfect and exquisite. Her eyes were like autumn water, and her brows were like distant jade. Her beautiful face was fair and sparkling, flickering with an alluring luster. Her temperament was ethereal and playful, but there was also a trace of nobility. Even the black robe couldn't hide it. Even 1,000 words would be unable to describe all of this. She was like a fairy from the 9 heavens who had fallen into the mortal world. Looking at this face, Jiyu couldn't help but be slightly stunned. This face was very familiar to him, as if he had seen it somewhere before, and he remembered it very clearly. After a while, he suddenly reacted. Wasn't this the F***king face in the portrait of the Sixth Prince? You're the Sixth Prince. Jiyu couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice. He almost didn't recognize this gender reversal. The Sixth Prince turned out to be a woman? You actually know me? So he was a little surprised. Then, she said, but to be precise, I'm the Sixth Princess. Of course, you'd better treat me as the Sixth Prince. Otherwise, there will be a lot of trouble. That doesn't matter. Hard work pays off. I can't believe I met you by accident. Jiyu couldn't help but smile happily. If he could bring this guy back to the royal palace, he would be able to get 20,000 contribution points and a superior grade 3 defensive artifact. How could he not be happy? He couldn't help but feel a little relieved. If he didn't let the other party follow him, he wouldn't have been able to reveal the other party's true appearance like just now, let alone find this Sixth Prince. Chapter 200. Bumped into me? Suya was a little confused at first, but in the next moment, she immediately reacted. He must have known that the palace was looking for her. Sigh, so you're also looking for me? Suya couldn't help but sigh. Facing such a powerful genius like Jiyu, she could only admit that she was unlucky. She saw with her own eyes that Jiyu took less than 5 minutes to wipe out the entire bandit camp, including the bandit leader who was at the 9th level of the defensive profound realm. This time, she had walked right into the trap. If she had known, she wouldn't have shamelessly followed this guy. Originally, she was tired of the boring life in the palace, so she wanted to escape and have some fun. On the way, she happened to meet the famous genius Jiyu, who was said to have easily defeated the holder of the acquired spiritual body. With a playful mentality, she acted out a wave of play, wanting to see how strong this so-called young genius was. In fact, the other party's strength was indeed very strong, far beyond her imagination. She became more and more interested in this guy, so she shamelessly followed this guy. But in the end, she got herself into trouble. This time, she had to go back and be scolded again, as she estimated that she wouldn't be able to leave the palace for a long time. Sigh, so annoying. Speaking of which, you're quite good at acting. That little brother and sister thing before was also a lie made up by you, right? Jiyu looked at Suya and said, if he remembered correctly, the 6th prince was the youngest of the royal family, so there was no such thing as a little brother or sister. And even if there was, with the strength of the bandits outside the snow-wind ancient city, it was impossible to catch a member of the royal family. That's right. At this time, Suya straightforwardly said, that little brother and sister thing was made up by me. I just wanted to see how strong your real strength is. Previously, she had seen the strength Jiyu showed at the bandit camp, but she felt that Jiyu hadn't fully displayed his strength. It was precisely because of this that she wanted to follow Jiyu and see exactly how strong Jiyu's strength was. See my true strength. Jiyu's mouth twitched. She was speechless. Are you really that bored? No, I think this is quite interesting. Then, she said, by the way, I made up the name Suya. My real name is actually Zhuang Weiran. Zhuang Weiran. Jiyu was not surprised by this. This was because he remembered that the current king of the Kanglan Empire, the Duke of Kanglan, was called Zhuang Tianke. From the moment he found out the woman's true identity, he knew that she must have made up a fake name. When I'm done with this trip to the Demon Beast Mountain Range, you should obediently follow me back to King City. You're not stupid. You know you can't escape from under my nose. Jiyu continued. Zhuang Weiran's face was filled with joy and anticipation. You want to go to the demonic beast mountain range first, and then bring me back? Yeah. Jiyu's face was full of question marks. Is this worth being happy about? Of course. Zhuang Weiran said eagerly. Compared to the boring life in the palace, exploring the demon beast mountain range is much more interesting. I'm not going to explore the demon beast mountain range. When we're there, you should obediently follow behind me. Don't go anywhere. Ji said. Otherwise, if something happens to you, I won't care about you. He had to threaten her. Otherwise, if something really happened to her, he would be in big trouble. It's okay. I know you're a kind person. You won't ignore me. Zhuang Weiran smiled. Chapter 201. Kind. Jiyu was once again speechless. He really didn't think that he was a kind person. But why did she keep saying that he was kind? No matter what, you have to be careful when the time comes. Don't implicate me. Jiyu closed his eyes. The other party was the royal family's 6th prince. If anything happened to him, the Duke of Canglan would definitely not let him off easily. When that time came, he would really be finished. I know my limits. Although Zhuang Weiran was like this, she still didn't care. Jiyu, on the other hand, did not continue to speak. Instead, he began to cultivate. Ding. Master cultivated martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience, 10 by 999 times. Ding. Master cultivated martial arts for 1 minute. Martial arts cultivation gained experience, 10 by 999 times. However, before Jiyu could do anything, he heard Zhuang Weiran calling out to him from the side. Jiyu. 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 Originally, Jiyu was too lazy to bother, but he didn't expect Zhuang Weiran to call him nonstop. Finally, he was annoyed by the noise and opened his eyes. What's the matter now? Ji said with a slightly unhappy expression. Don't cultivate by yourself. Come and chat with me more. Zhuang Weiran said playfully. What's there to talk about? Ji was speechless. What's there to talk about? Zhuang Weiran came over and asked, Come, tell me, how did you cultivate to this level? From the start, she was very concerned about this. He was clearly 1 or 2 years younger than her, but he was so much stronger than her. Although she didn't put much thought into martial arts, her martial arts talent was still one of the best in the entire Kanglan Empire. No matter what, she shouldn't be so much weaker than this guy. What exactly did this guy eat to grow up? Zhuang Weiran's entire body leaned over, making Jiyu a little uncomfortable. Although he had seen his fair share of beauties, it was the first time he had seen a royal clan's daughter like Zhuang Weiran. No matter if it was her looks or temperament, they were all top-notch. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't moved. However, Jiyu wouldn't embarrass herself. She said calmly, How else can I cultivate? I'm just casually cultivating. To be honest, he had been casually cultivating, so he didn't know how to answer Zhuang Weiran's question. Casually cultivate? Zhuang Weiran questioned. I'm not a 3-year-old girl. How can you say such a childish trick? She had personally experienced the harsh martial cultivation of the royal family. It was dry and tedious. Every time she thought about it, she would feel a headache. That's all I have to say. It's up to you to believe it or not. Ji said calmly. Forget it. Let's talk about something else. Zhuang Weiran knew that he wouldn't tell the truth no matter how she asked, so she changed the topic. I heard that you came from Chuyang Ancient City. Is there anything fun there? After an unknown amount of time, Zhuang Weiran was chattering nonstop. Ji didn't expect that she was such a chatterbox. Once she started talking, she couldn't stop. At this time, he inadvertently glanced out of the window and realized that the carriage was about to reach the Beast Mountain Range. All right, stop talking. We'll reach the Beast Mountain Range soon, Jiyu said to Zhuang Weiran. He also wanted to use this opportunity to make Zhuang Weiran stop chattering for the time being, because he had heard so much that calluses were almost forming on his ears. So it's like this, Zhuang Weiran nodded. However, not long after she finished speaking, she continued, What are you going to do in the Beast Mountain Range this time? Since Zhuang Weiran wanted to go with him, Ji didn't plan to hide it. I accepted a mission to kill the Green Spider Empress. Ji said honestly. All right, you've already entered the Qianyuan martial house to cultivate. Zhuang Weiran suddenly thought. Now, she understood that bringing her back was probably a mission that the other party needed to complete. However, Jiyu's deeds in the Qianyuan martial house didn't spread. Not many people outside the martial house knew about it. Zhuang Weiran didn't know either. That was why she was so curious about Jiyu's true strength. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.